So, everything's on fire. Iran is still on fire. Peace negotiations are going, let's just say, interestingly, as they violate the ceasefire a lot of times. Lebanon is currently on fire. And in other fun news, the podcaster space is on fire. Donald Trump is beefing with everybody. Insane amount to talk about, and unfortunately, no one is going to be covering it the way I am. So get ready for the deep dive, ladies and gentlemen. This might somehow radicalize you even more. Donald Trump made a tweet. That's basically how everything starts now. Every conversation starts with Donald Trump made a tweet. All U.S. ships, aircraft, military personnel with additional ammunition, weaponry, or anything else that is appropriate and necessary for the lethal prosecution and destruction of an already substantially degraded enemy will remain in place in and around Iran until such time as the real agreement is reached, is fully complied with. If for any reason it is not, which is highly unlikely. All right, we'll see, man. We'll see. I don't know. I'm feeling like it might be a little likely. The shooting starts bigger and better, stronger than anyone has ever seen before. It was agreed a long time ago, and despite all the fake rhetoric to the contrary, no nuclear weapons, and the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. In the meantime, our great military is loading up and resting, looking forward, actually, to its next conquest, Cuba. All right, so anyway, now I'll be honest. Donald Trump is a hard player, and I'll be real. I'm a little upset with the guy. Because I wish he would literally go this hard on the illegal aliens in our country and the corrupt woke judges and the corrupt politicians and all the fraud taking place within our nation. But as far as taking care of our enemies goes, this dude is not playing. Just understand the masterclass that we witnessed in regard to this war. Obliterated their navy, obliterated their air force. We're sitting out there. But Trump threatened to end their civilization. They completely cave on all the things that they promised. They're doing a peace deal now that they really didn't want to do. And if we don't get literally all the things we want, we obliterate them. We literally end a civilization. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, Nux, I can't believe your rhetoric. Well, yes, the people that chant death to America, you don't have a problem with their rhetoric, but you have a problem with my rhetoric when I want to obliterate the threat. This seems like a skill issue, my friend. Now, anyway, it's going pretty well, as you can see. Obviously, Iran violated the ceasefire. Army survivors say the Kuwait unit was hit by Iran, was unprepared to prepare itself. In fact, Kuwait released an entire massive statement. Statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from Kuwait. Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated Kuwait's condemnation of the long and yappy. They did war crimes. They violated the ceasefire. They launched missiles and drones at a Gulf nation that was at peace with them, completely for no reason. A state of aggression increased for nothing. All right, so, and they're completely correct about this, and the entire world is silent. You know, the entire world is obviously screaming about the United States, screaming about Trump, screaming about this and that, and all that other gay shit that they like talking about. I don't know, make orgies in Iran again, they scream, whilst defending goat-raping pedophile dictators. But when those same goat-raping pedophile dictators are literally bombing innocent people in a completely random country that has nothing to do with the conflict whatsoever, all of a sudden dead silence everywhere. It's almost like the entire world is putting a pro-Iran spin, and a lot of the retards are falling for the psyop. A lot of, like, the liberal democracies in Europe, the super nice based fine guys, the good people that are against all forms of racism and bigotry are more than happy to launder the reputation of an Islamic regime that massacred 40,000 of their own people. And honestly, a lot of the people in America are falling for this too. And it's really sad to see, and we'll get there in a minute. But first, and I think this is even more interesting, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte refuses to take CNN's bait. So he immediately traveled to America. All right, so a ceasefire happens. JD Vance is going to Pakistan to do a peace negotiation. Immediately, head of the NATO alliance decided to show up in America because he's terrified that Trump is going to leave.
When President Trump threatened to kill the entire Iranian civilization.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said he would end the civilization. He didn't threaten to kill a civilization. Ending a civilization and killing a civilization are very different things. And you know that, CNN, fucko. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Reality is irrelevant to these people. And also, and I'm going to tell you an even better call. This is an even better analysis. He made a fucking tweet, guys. Could we chill the shit out? He made a tweet that you didn't like. Oh, my God.
When President Trump threatened to kill the entire Iranian civilization.
He didn't do that.
Did that bother you at all as a diplomat?
All right, so what CNN obviously wants to do, all right, now pay attention. What CNN obviously wants here is CNN wants him to say, yes, that did bother me, to drive a wedge between NATO and our allies and Trump, because CNN actually hates America and wants us to die. All right, now I hope you understand that that's what's going on.
collectively.
When President you at all as a diplomat?
Well, you know, what I always say when it comes to what leaders are saying, I'm not commenting on everything. What I want you to know is that I support the president, and I know lots of you do when it comes to taking out the capacity of Iran.
Oh, they tried so hard. They tried so hard to get a condemnation, and dude's like, no, no, no. Actually, killing terrorists is pretty fucking awesome.
Export chaos to the region, to Europe, to the whole world. They are one of the main enablers of Russia's war effort.
Yeah, they're very bad
We
people.
all know this.
Yeah,
Very bad.
With the drones, it is an existential threat to Israel if they would get their hands on a nuclear capability.
Yep.
It is great to try to negotiate it away, but we also always knew that with North Korea, it took too long, and then North Korea had its hand on a nuclear.
Correct.
And we cannot negotiate.
Just
When
correct.
President Trump threatened to
Right, so did not take the bait. CNN is absolutely trying to turn everyone against us to the best of their ability, and it just didn't work. All right, bro's like, I don't give a fuck about a freaking tweet. These guys were trying to get a nuke. Just objectively the correct response. And also, it's really nice to see NATO finally sucking up to us. Now, Donald Trump obviously does not see it that way. NATO wasn't there when we needed them, and they won't be there if we need them again. Remember Greenland, that big poorly run piece of ice? So yeah, things are actually happening, to be honest, and it's pretty awesome. Now, a lot of people are saying that, because I like reading both sides of every argument. I do my best to actually do the research. And a very popular position on the other side is NATO doesn't actually have to help the United States fighting Iran because it's not a defensive war, it's an offensive war, and NATO is a defensive alliance, not an offensive alliance. So obviously that's fucking bullshit because Iran has been attacking everyone for 47 years. All right, so obviously that's fucking bullshit that this is ultimately a defensive war. We're not fighting Iran because we're trying to conquer territory. We're fighting Iran because we don't want them to ever have the ability to obliterate us. So it is ultimately a very preemptive defensive war. That's one. And two, hello? You expect us to fund you guys in Ukraine? Ukraine's not part of NATO. Why are we forking over $350 billion to Ukraine? Ukraine had nothing to do with NATO. So, according to NATO rules, we shouldn't have to fund that at all. According to NATO rules, we shouldn't have had to fund Serbia versus Kosovo either. That wasn't part of NATO. None of this shit is part of NATO. But we're always there for our allies, and they are not. And honestly, we're noticing right now. So again, NATO trying their absolute best. This guy, he went to Washington. He met with Trump. He's going around on all the different TV, all the different media areas. He goes on CNN, doesn't take the bait. He goes on Fox News. We are going to help the Strait of Hormuz.
Logistical and other support.
We are here to help.
Needed in Iran,
Please don't leave NATO. Please.
were a bit slow, to say the least. In fairness, they were also a bit surprised. To maintain the element of surprise for the initial strikes, President Trump opted not to inform allies ahead of time. And I understand that.
Based. You think France wouldn't have leaked
So the
it?
White House now looking at possible punishments for some NATO allies. According to a piece in the Wall Street Journal today, quote, the proposal would involve moving U.S. troops out of NATO member countries deemed unhelpful to the Iran war effort and stationing them in countries that were more.
Look, I have a very America first policy when it comes to America politics. I don't want to be funding foreign nations. Yes, that includes Israel. It includes Ukraine. It includes all of these. I don't want to be funding foreign nations infinitely. Absolutely not. And I also don't want to be part of NATO. I don't want to be part of the UN. I think our absolute #1 priority is taking care of America. We have so much shit to deal with here. All right? I don't want to be part of these gigantic alliances that just exist to kick us in the balls when we're taking care of threats to our nation. All right? I am so against all of this shit. It's unbelievable. And it's so shocking to me that, like, all the boomers in office, they just don't see it that way. Now, Ron DeSantis is actually going nuclear. He's the governor of Florida. He's saying we need to cut ties with England because they're an Islamic country. We don't even share the same values anymore.
Well, they've really shot themselves in the foot. I mean, you look at, like, the United Kingdom. That has been our best ally historically. We obviously came from there. Our culture grew out of English culture, our constitution and laws, all this stuff. Very tight bond. But I think what they've done and other European countries have done, they've imported in mass numbers people who don't want to be British, don't want to be French. They want to take where they came from and they want to change those countries to reflect things like Sharia.
That's right, baby. Come from the import the third world, become the third world. Zero room for debate. This is just the obvious perspective.
So if the reason why we have been allied with them for so long is because we have strong political and cultural bonds, well, those have eroded because of decisions that they have made. So I think what they've done, particularly on mass immigration, has been suicidal. We can't make those mistakes in the United States. And, you know, when I signed this legislation, some people are like, oh, well, that's not happening in Florida or whatever. First of all, they said the same thing 10, 15 years ago in Britain. They said, oh, don't worry about this.
The thing he's referring to is he signed a law banning Sharia law in Florida.
And then now you've seen what's ended up happening. So we're ahead of the curve here. It's the right thing to do. But yes, Europe's made a huge mistake. And the fact that if you don't want to join a military conflict, you know, that's one thing. But to not allow us to use bases when we're not only your top ally, but have funded your defense for decades.
We are 70% of NATO. We are 70% of NATO's military. We are 70% of NATO's funding. All right. Literally, all of you need to fuck yourselves. I'm so tired of this bullshit where we're supposed to just grin and take it while all of Europe rapes us. Absolutely not. And this is just completely correct. He's just completely right about this. We don't share a common culture with these people. These are absolute cucks. I would love it if they could, you know, elect, let's say, Rupert Lowe or something, deport all the retards and turn England into a glorious country once again. But now it's gay. Now it's gay as fuck. And as it is right now, I don't see it having a lot in common with the United States. Heartbreaking to say. Of course, Keir Starmer got all upset. Keir Starmer said he's fed up with Donald Trump and Putin. I'm fed up with the fact that families across the country see their bills go up and down on the energy businesses. Bills go up and down on energy because of the actions of Putin or Trump across the world. Well, you know, you wouldn't have that issue if you weren't woke as fuck and you actually drilled for gases and oil. Right? If you actually didn't give a fuck about the environment, you would not have this issue. That's one. Two, I'm sorry that the actions that other people take in their own best interest doesn't personally affect you positively. Wow, that's really sad for you. You know, it really doesn't affect the Iranian citizens publicly when they're getting massacred by the tens of thousands in the streets and you're sitting on your ass inviting Syrian terrorists into your parliament. I'm sorry. Not every decision made by every single country needs to be done with England's best interest. Honestly, fuck you. This entitlement is off the charts. It's insane that we need to listen to this gobbledygook, man. I'm very offended that Donald Trump stopped an existential threat to his country because it slightly negatively affected us. Like, it's just listen to the pompous boisterousness of this dumb fuck. You know, and everyone's like on his side. Wow, we put, you know, Keir Starmer really told Trump. I'm telling you, man, the Muslims are playing like half the world like a fiddle. It's honestly insane. Now, Keir Starmer does this whole tweet making believe he was involved in the ceasefire. The 2-week ceasefire between the United States and Iran today is welcomed by the UK and our allies. Our goal must be a lasting end to this war. Literally, who the fuck are you? Who are you? You didn't get involved. You mentioned that many times. You didn't even let us use your fucking bases. Who are you? The goal? Who are you to tell us what the goal is? Fuck yourself, man. This dude let an entire generation of British children get raped. Not even exaggerating or hyperbolizing. He let that happen under his watch. And now he's gonna morally grandstand and tell us what must and must not be done from a humanitarian perspective. Alongside our international partners, the UK will work to assure freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. Now that there's peace, all right, now that there's peace, you're gonna work on opening the Strait of Hormuz? Like, absolute, unbelievable, dumb fuck bullshit. And honestly, Reza Pahlavi, the crown prince of Iran, the exiled prince, fucking killed him on the timeline. The United Kingdom has endlessly appeased the criminal regime in Iran. Prime Minister speaks of protecting innocent civilians of Iran, but failed to help to stop the regime's massacre of 40,000 innocent Iranians in January. Only an end to this regime that brings terror to Britain's own shores will yield lasting peace and regional stability. Keir Starmer should follow in the footsteps of Churchill, not Chamberlain. He should support the Iranian people's fight for liberty. The Iranian people will remember who stood with them in their hour of need and who stood against them. There is still time for the government to change course, prosecute the IRGC that slaughters innocents, expel the illegitimate regime's ambassador, and act to support the people of Iran. And honestly, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. If you're coming this from like a purely humanitarian perspective, no one is being brutalized and abused more than the Iranian people. If you're coming from like an England first or America first perspective, then you can't possibly blame Trump for doing this, which benefits America. All right? If it's coming from a humanitarian perspective, you have zero legs to stand on. Crying about paying some extra gas while Iranians are getting massacred in the streets and blaming Trump. Like, it's unbelievable levels, like actually unbelievable levels of entitlement. Condemning Trump for raising your gases because he doesn't care about human life. Literally, holy fuck. He's fighting against a regime that's killed millions in the region, including tens of thousands of their own. Like, these people are despicable. Honestly despicable. It gets worse. So, Keir Starmer, I'm fed up with Trump because people are suffering.
I'm fed up with the fact that families across the country see their bills go up and down on energy.
You do realize that as it stands right now, there is more money going to migrants on welfare than people are paying income tax for throughout the entire England. Are you aware of that statistic?
Businesses' bills go up and down on energy because of the actions of Putin or Trump across the world.
Like, it's unbelievable, unfathomable levels of arrogance. Like, literally, no one had you in mind. Right? When Trump started this war, you were literally not on his mind because, honestly, no one gives a fuck about you. And I'm really sorry if that offends you, and I'm really sorry if you're paying more for gas, but that is a consequence to a terrorist doing acts of terrorism in the Strait of Hormuz. I don't know if you heard the memo, but it's actually a war crime and a violation of international law for terrorists to bomb ships in the Strait of Hormuz. So, yes, I'm sorry that your gas prices are going up. It's because terrorists are doing bad things, and you refuse to condemn them. You absolute pussy. All right, this is the regime washing blood off the streets after they massacred protesters 2 months ago in Iran. Look at that, man. Or look at this. This is absolute heartbreaking. And you're crying about how people aren't thinking of the humanitarian needs of the British people. Like, are we being serious? I feel like this speaks for the entire nation. Keir Starmer here talking, and you have this dude just rolling his eyes in the background, this soldier. Like, it's honestly unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and I think everyone feels that way, right? So this is Trump's now very infamous tweet, right? Complete, immediate, safe opening, Strait of Hormuz, etc. Then you got leftoids losing their mind. You do realize that threatening total genocidal annihilation is completely fucking evil and immoral, right? You mean like chanting death to America? Like, this is the leftist mind. Trump making a tweet that causes Iran to buckle and make a peace deal. Well, you see, that is actually evil. But Iran massacring 40,000 of their own people and chanting death to America, not actually a threat, not actually an issue, nothing really to worry about there. Trump is the one in the wrong. This is the leftist mind. It really is. And now, here's the shocker. Iran is claiming that they are going to limit Strait of Hormuz tanker traffic.
Going on, we're watching it by the hour. So too is the White House, and Connor Hansen has an update from the North Lawn there. And Connor, good morning to you.
Bill, good morning. Only a handful of ships have been able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz since the ceasefire began, and questions over whether the strait is actually open could test this already fragile agreement. So far, Iran has maintained its tight grip on the vital shipping lane, reportedly telling mediators it will limit traffic to roughly a dozen ships per day.
That is called violating the agreement.
And those ships could have to pay tolls and coordinate with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. Only 5 ships passed through the strait yesterday, according to the firm Kepler, and data from maritime traffic shows not all of them were carrying crude oil.
Wow, that's pretty bad. So the reality is, it's so pretty bad that Donald Trump tweeted, "There are reports that Iran is charging fees to tankers going through the Hormuz Strait. They better not be, and if they are, they better stop now." And he made another tweet, "Iran is doing a very poor job, dishonorable, some would say, of allowing oil to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That is not the agreement we have." President Donald J. Trump warning them, bro, we might be going back to civilization-ending threats. All right, and here's, honestly, people on the ground in Iran are starting to get really upset about this. They didn't want a ceasefire here. The actual people in Iran wanted freedom. And so here are instances of drive-by shootings against the Islamic security. Right, actual drive-by shootings of the people fighting back against these terrorist dictators. Right, it's honestly crazy. All right, and this is just the absolute state of the media right now.
Trump just transitioned. Yesterday he was a tyrant. Today he's a taco.
Donald Trump just caved, backing down from his fake deadline. All day today, everyone, most notably the people of Iran, were wondering if their civilization was going to die tonight. Well, good news, it didn't. It was the Taco Tuesday of all Taco Tuesdays.
It's been very obvious for the last few days that the president was...
The taco standing for Trump always chickens out. Right? This is the leftist mindset. Trump is a genocidal tyrant. Trump is a coward. He didn't genocide an entire people. What a loser.
looking for an off-ramp.
The taco, Trump always chickens out syndrome.
So Trump's a war criminal who stopped the war because he's a chicken.
Exactly.
I can't follow it.
Exactly.
You just want to give 47 the 25th because he threatened Iran so hard they signed a ceasefire?
That's right. He made a tweet that saved millions of lives. We need to invoke the 25th Amendment. He saved millions, but he made a mean tweet. Remove him from office.
We just can't accept a president who is literally promising to destroy an entire civilization.
Did that happen, or did it make peace?
To murder hundreds of thousands of innocent human beings.
Yeah, he never made that claim at all. These people like take Trump tweets and, amp it up to a bajillion.
That alone should be grounds for the removal of this president.
Oh my God, he made a tweet, guys. Oh my God.
But he thinks, I guess, that the threat of mass-scale war crimes has achieved some success.
No, why is this a war crime? I don't understand. He never threatened a war crime, ever. At least not that I'm aware of. He didn't threaten a war crime. Taking out your enemy in a war is not a war crime. This is the New World retard situation. And we have to play this game because, unfortunately, we are governed by idiots. Idiots! I wish Trump was like 1,000 times more radical than he actually is. Man, I wish Trump was the fascist that the leftists thought he was. I want to see him open up mass deportation campaigns and getting rid of them by the millions, every single illegal in the country. I would love that. That would be awesome, actually. Getting the military to start storming different states and just start arresting retards that deserve it. That would be incredible. I wish that he was half the fascist that these people think he is.
Senator Chris Murphy said Trump was losing the war and he should stop bombing. So Trump stopped bombing. And Murphy called him crazy for stopping. Again, it makes no sense. I can't tell if the Democratic Party wants war or peace.
They're just anti-Trump. That is their entire policy.
I just know they want Trump to lose. And they want to lock him up for free speech.
And they also want America to lose.
The language there was, a war crime. It threatens.
Well, where's this fucking war crime? What are we even talking about? What, you're not allowed to win wars anymore? This is literally the New World. The New World governed by gay liberals and Islamic countries, all right, like France and England. They're both gay liberals and Islamic countries. So the entire world governed by these emotional manlets, all right, they just refuse to let people win wars. They just refuse. Refuse. You're not allowed to win wars according to these people.
It's war crime. It threatened genocidal-like behavior.
So they should surrender. You know what? This is how war works. You kill them until they surrender or they're dead. That is how war works in the simplest of terms. I know it sounds really mean, but that's war. War is not actually nice. It's not pretty. War fucking sucks very often. The reality is, the way war works is, you threaten them, you kill them, they surrender, or they die. That is how it works. I don't know where this hyper-glorified reality is, where all these people think you're not allowed to win wars, where that shit comes from, but it's honestly pathetic.
Is the kind of language, as I said yesterday, associated with the monsters of history, to wipe out a civilization. That's simply not...
He made a fucking tweet!
How
oh my
presidents
God!
Speak. That's not how leaders of democracies speak.
It's not a democracy.
He's right. That's not usually how presidents speak. But most presidents don't usually win wars in 38 days. Maybe
Also
more
true.
presidents should speak like that. We wouldn't have been in Afghanistan for 20 years.
True.
Paul Morrow.
I love how people think that Trump is like the worst president ever now because we went to war for 38 days and got a ceasefire with the Islamic death cult.
Made the point on the 5. You know who really ended the Persian civilization? The mullahs.
True.
They had a beautiful thing going on until the Islamic Revolution. The media thinks Trump's the bad guy. And the mullahs, who slaughter protesters and use kids as human shields, they have the moral high ground.
How can the president claim that America can ever have the moral high ground if he's threatening to destroy civilization?
These people are gigantic pussies. Honestly, thanks to the Democratic Party, the blue whale's vagina is the second biggest pussy on the planet. Even John Fetterman, former Democrat, even he agrees.
And now if you want to talk about a war crime, you know, Iran is a 47-year-old war crime, what they continue to behave. So, you know, as a Democrat, I supported what President Trump did, you know, to actually call Iran accountable. And I think it's been successful. As you've discussed, and I agree, it's not finished yet, you know, but now where we are now, we are 38 days in.
Exactly. And the entire leftoid party is just losing its mind. Now, Donald Trump had this to say in regards to Iran violating the ceasefire a lot.
Comments from President Trump on the ceasefire in Iran. The president telling NBC News in a brand new interview that he was very optimistic a peace deal with Iran was within reach and that Iran's leaders talk much differently when you're at a meeting than they do to the press. They're much more reasonable. President Trump also saying that if Iran does not make a deal, quote, it's going to be very painful.
And we'll see what happens. Ultimately, I have had a stance for the entirety of this war, and a lot of people are mad at me about it, but I don't care. My stance is you have to wait until the chips fall. We don't know all the details. Obviously, we're not in these classified briefings. We don't know what these actual negotiations are sounding like. We don't even know what Trump is really asking for in these negotiations. I think it includes the nuclear dust and everything, but I think it's going to be drastic. Otherwise, Iran would have absolutely agreed already. So my stance is very simple. My stance is, when the dust settles, we will be able to judge this. Until it settles, we are operating on quasi-information, and based on what we're seeing right now, we have obliterated an enemy. Now, I think this is incredible. The United States is starting to investigate American influencers taking foreign money, which is amazing. And this is the Israeli lobby targeting their competition. What a weird thing to say. What a weird thing to say. Wait, so you think the Israeli lobby is trying to get influencers canceled for taking funds from foreign countries? Wait, hold on. Hold up a second. So these people really don't care about foreign influence? It's only specifically about Israeli foreign influence? I just think that's the weirdest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. This gotta be the wildest cell phone ever. Drama is going on even crazier in Lebanon right now. So, as we all know, we're in this peace deal. Donald Trump made this tweet based on conversation with Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and Field Marshal Hashim Munkur of Pakistan, wherein they requested a hold of destructive force be sent tonight to Iran, subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the immediate and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agree to suspend the bombing and attack against Iran for a period of 2 weeks. So double-sided ceasefire, yada yada, etc., etc. Very nice, lovely, long plan. We love to see it. Anyway, so this is the way the peace deal is working. I personally think that I don't trust a peace deal with these guys. So I'm very excited to see what Trump actually has in store for us. But let's just say Iran is very unhappy right now because Israel is attacking Lebanon. Earlier today, Israel dropped 160 bombs across areas in Lebanon within 10 minutes. The IDF describes the assault as Operation Eternal Darkness, all right, targeting Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. So a little bit of backstory for you guys. Hezbollah has fired over 10,000 missiles over the last couple of years from Lebanon into Israel. Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that is funded and backed by Iran, and Hezbollah has killed hundreds of Americans, including 240 Marines in Beirut, which I will never forget. What an unbelievable tragedy. And Hezbollah contributed to the deaths of 650,000 people in Syria, as well as the massacres of multiple Christian villages in Lebanon. All right, so just understanding what we're dealing with. These Hezbollah terrorists have been striking at Israel for a long, long time, and Israel's tired of it, and Israel's obliterating them in return. Now, my incredibly hot take is killing terrorists is actually fucking awesome. However, I also believe that while I don't want to be giving Israel our money, because I am against foreign aid basically in all forms, if we are giving them money, they cannot be blowing up our peace deals. All right, that's my stance. Now, the really important note is this is not actually violating the peace deal. As you can see, the peace deal that was a ceasefire against bombing Iran. How is bombing terrorists in Lebanon connected to Iran? Unless, of course, Iran is directly stating that the terrorists in Lebanon work for them, which is something they've been denying for like the last 40 years, even though we all knew it was true. So it seems like Iran is admitting that the terrorists in Lebanon actually are working for them, which is pretty fucking, hilarious and tragic at the same time. So Tucker Carlson releases a 3 million view, massive video, 2.5 hours long, about how Netanyahu launched terror attacks on Beirut. Not true. It was counter-terror, actually. Destroying Trump's ceasefire. We need to detach from Israel. What? This has nothing to do with the ceasefire. This is obliterating terrorists that have been attacking Israel, like, for the last 20 years. What are we even talking about here? In fact, he's not alone. But first, I just have to show you what everyone's response to this, because this is a pretty huge claim, right? Israel supposedly our ally, and they're blowing up our peace deals. We're trying to make a peace deal, and they're blowing it up by killing terrorists in Beirut? Unbelievable. All right, well, let's see what J.D. Vance has to say.
I actually think, and there's a lot of bad faith negotiation and a lot of bad faith, propaganda going on. I think this comes from a legitimate misunderstanding. I think the Iranians thought that the ceasefire included Lebanon, and it just didn't. We never made that promise. We never indicated that was going to be the case. What we said is that the ceasefire would be focused on Iran, and the ceasefire would be focused on America's allies, both Israel and the Gulf Arab states. That said, the Israelis, as I understand it, again, I'm supposed to get a fuller report when I get on the plane, have actually offered to be, frankly, to check themselves a little bit in Lebanon because they want to make sure that our negotiation is successful.
Oh, what a nice ally.
That's not because that is part of the ceasefire. I think that's the Israelis trying to set us up for success, and we'll, of course, see how that unfolds in the next few days. But
I'm honest, I'm surprised to hear him say that, because I always got the impression that Vance was pretty anti-Israel.
Look, if Iran wants to let this negotiation fall apart in a conflict where they were getting hammered over Lebanon, which has nothing to do with them and which the United States never once said was part of the ceasefire, that's ultimately their choice. We think that would be dumb.
But then again, they rape goats. So anyway, you never know. In fact, the press, they tried to press Caroline Leavitt on this as well.
Danny. Thanks, Caroline. Would President Trump like to see Lebanon included in this peace deal? As you know, there have been increased Israeli strikes on Lebanon today with dozens of casualties there.
Sure. Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire.
There it is.
It's been relayed to all parties involved in the ceasefire. As you know, Prime Minister Netanyahu put out a statement last night in support of the ceasefire, in support of the United States' efforts, and he's also assured the president.
By the way, for the record, for those of you unaware of Israeli politics, Israel is not a big fan of the ceasefire. Israel wanted to obliterate them because they've been, terrorizing Israel for the last 47 years. They wanted to obliterate them. So Israel is not very happy with it, but Trump said to do it, and Netanyahu immediately agreed. Something pretty hilarious that's going on in politics. I'm just going to say this because I think it's pretty funny all in all. In America, a lot of people think Israel controls America. In Israel, everyone thinks that America controls Israel. I'm just saying it's pretty hilarious if you think about it. So anyway, Israel is striking Iran-backed Hezbollah in Lebanon right now, and Caroline Leavitt confirms that obviously it has nothing to do with the ceasefire. And if you read the ceasefire, it states specifically strikes against Iran. If you listen to what everyone says, it does not include Lebanon. Of course, Tucker Carlson is going to make it seem like this is just Israel, the Jews, destroying Trump's ceasefire. Once again, gotta love it. But the reality is, they're all doing this. This is Marjorie Trader Green, or Brown, some would call her, because green becomes brown when it's old and yucky. Israel never stopped bombing, especially Lebanon. Okay, there are terrorists there that are bombing Israel. What are we doing here? So was there ever really a ceasefire? What are you fucking talking about? The ceasefire's with Iran. It's not with Lebanon. What are we doing? Like, are we being serious here? Trump, the peace president, should have never started this war alongside Israel, who clearly doesn't want peace. Israel literally wants to continue fighting and said, okay, whatever Trump says goes. We'll let Trump make a deal. We trust him. Literally, all right? Unbelievable. They're bombing Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon that are bombing Israel right now. What are we even talking about? All right, now, the funny thing is, Sneeko, of course, Islamic supremacist retard, the beautiful country of Lebanon, the most Christian in the Middle East, he doesn't care about Christians, is currently going to be demolished by the usual suspects, and Westerners do not care because the screen told them brown people are terrorists. Well, some brown people are terrorists, to be fair. But the reality is, if you want to actually understand what the Christian genocide in the Middle East looks like, look no further than the decline of Christianity in Middle Eastern countries. Lebanon used to have 53% Christians. It used to be a Christian majority country. It is currently at 32%, and this has nothing to do with Israel, because that's 2024. And that had nothing to do with Israel. That's because Muslims kill a lot of Christians a lot of time all over the world for the last 1,400 years. Syria from 14% Christian to 1% Christian. Jordan from 20% Christian to 2% Christian. Iraq from 12% Christian to 0.2% Christian. How did this happen? How did this happen? Oh, it's Muslims killing Christians? Christians? You mean like the thing that they've been doing since Islam existed? Right? Ever since it's been written in the Quran, smite the infidel wherever you find them? Wherever it says in the Quran, slit the kafar at the neck? Or where it says in the kafar, the Jews and Christians are the lowest of creatures? Listen, man, Muslims have been killing Christians around the world for 1,400 years. In fact, they're the ones that are killing the Christians in Lebanon. Israel is killing Hezbollah, the terrorists that happen to be killing Christians in Lebanon. In fact, all right, everyone is now doing this grift. And it's honestly hilarious. Lebanon is 40% Christian, and you're cheering because White House backs Israel, reiterating Lebanon is not part of the ceasefire agreement. So Lebanon is 40% Christian, and you're cheering Israel is bombing Christians. I can't believe it. Well, the reality is they're not the fucking target, all right? I obviously would never support something like that because, you know, the Christians happen to not be terrorists. You mean to tell me that they're only targeting Muslims because they're only targeting terrorists and none of the Christians are terrorists, but a lot of the Muslims are? It's a coincidence. It's a coincidence, guys. Stop. It's a coincidence. So as you can see, these are the more Christian areas over here in blue, and over here in green are the more Islam areas. And as you can see, here are where the strikes are. Here are where the strikes are. Over here and over here. All what's green on this graph, the Muslim majority areas, that's where Hezbollah actually is. And all the blue parts on the graph are not even getting struck at all by Israel. So the reality is Israel is not killing Christians. Israel is killing terrorists that have been bombing Israel for a long time. And everyone now makes believe they care about Christians. And this is the scariest part. Christians, by number, by pure sheer metric, are easily the most persecuted group on the planet. Not even exaggerating, not even close. Christians getting massacred in Syria, in Nigeria, throughout the Middle East, except for Israel, which is the only country in the Middle East where the Christian population is actually growing, all right? But every other area in the Middle East, from Congo to Rwanda to all these places, they're all massacring, to Sudan, they're all massacring Christians in all these places, and no one cares. But now that Israel is fighting against terrorists in Lebanon, they're like, oh, but there are Christians in Lebanon, and now they care about the Christians? Look, I'm sure that there's some Christians in my audience that aren't going to like to hear this. These people don't actually care about Christians, which is heartbreaking because I watch a lot of Christian YouTubers. I don't see any of them ever talk about this kind of thing. I end up talking about this all the time because I feel like it's an unbelievable tragedy that we have Islamists going out there around the world killing Christians and no one cares. I think it's an unbelievable tragedy. Now, Sean Ryan, podcaster, he gets involved. He gets involved, ladies and gentlemen. Ceasefire is barely 24 hours old, and Israel, our greatest ally, is already blowing it up, literally. Oh my God, how are they doing that? Largest coordinated strike on Lebanon since the war began. That's not part of the ceasefire! Oh my fucking God. But sure, another masterclass negotiated by the guy who threatened to wipe out an entire civilization the day before. Stable genius stuff. It's unbelievable watching the grifters. The grifters keep grifting. Bro, Lebanon has nothing to do with the ceasefire. Why do these people want so badly to destroy Trump's actual diplomatic process? It's unbelievable. It's almost like they want America to lose. I just can't understand any other perspective here. All right, now this dude made another thing recently. The Pentagon summoned the Pope's ambassador, told him the United States has the military power to do whatever it wants, and warned that the church better take its side. Wow, threatening the church? That's obviously awful. I don't like that. 5.3 million views. Wow, that's a really big story. I'm sure it's so real. I just spoke with some senior leaders at the Pentagon. They were told me that this was total garbage. There is actually zero evidence whatsoever that this ever happened. Even the people at the church never said that this happened. It's insane. It's insane. People just say things at this point. It's pretty wild, right? So here we have Cenk Uygur, everyone's favorite Islamist terrorist aborter. There is approximately a 0% Israel will abide by the ceasefire. Well, so far they are. So far they're bombing Lebanon, which is not part of the ceasefire. So far they're abiding by the ceasefire. All right. Oh shit, this is a crazy spoiler. But first I have to drop you a nuke. I have to drop you a nuke. You are so not ready for what you are about to see. Here's some pretty interesting statistics, since apparently no one knows anything about history or geography, and then they just lie to the American people because they figured people aren't educated. Israel signed a peace deal with Egypt in 1979. Not a single Israeli bomb in Egypt since then. Israel signed a peace deal with Jordan in 1999. Not a single Israeli bomb in Jordan since then. Israel signed a peace deal with the United Arab Emirates in 2020. Not a single Israeli bomb on the UAE since then. Israel signed a peace deal with Bahrain. No bombs. Israel signed a peace deal with Morocco. No bombs. Israel signed a peace deal with Sudan. No bombs. Why is it that they're only quote-unquote breaking peace deals with Lebanon? I don't know. Maybe because Hezbollah terrorists are there literally fucking bombing Israel every day. Like, it's unbelievable playing this game, man. Like, these people are actually fucking retarded. It's wild. So, Mia Khalifa, porn star, and Islamist supremacist, all right, she's a Lebanese American. So she wanted to tell you how heartbreaking it is for her to watch her buddies, Hezbollah terrorists, that would execute her for being a whore if they ever met her, that they're dying.
Today has been one of the hardest things to watch
And she knows, because she's seen a lot of very hard things in her career.
A really long time on social media, and that's saying something.
Cry about it.
Because we've watched a genocide play out before our eyes.
Which genocide? The Hamas, when they tried to genocide the Jews on October 7th?
For decades, but even more so in the last 3-4 years. 160 airstrikes in 10 minutes.
Holy shit, that's fucking awesome. They were able to do 160 airstrikes in 10 minutes? Fuck yeah, dude. Holy, that's awesome. Anyway.
On residential buildings, on schools, on hospitals.
Damn, I can't believe that Hezbollah was literally firing missiles from schools and hospitals and residential buildings, as I'll show you in a couple of minutes.
On civilian infrastructure.
They're hitting infrastructure? They're crying because some infrastructure was hit?
On cemeteries with funeral processions in the midst of a ceasefire.
There was no ceasefire with Lebanon.
I don't know how to reconcile my tax dollars.
I think you should go to Lebanon. I think you should go to Lebanon.
Doing this to my homeland. I don't
cry about it. Maybe your homeland shouldn't have a terrorism issue.
Like I feel like it's really important to get on here and to talk and to say this, but
thank you. Yeah, your mouth has been used for so many important things, like talking.
I am at such a loss for words. All I can do sometimes is reshare other people's voices who can articulate it a little bit more with a little bit more emotional separation. But what is happening?
Holy shit, guys! I just saw it. Oh, wait. Everyone in the audience. I'm so sorry. A whore is crying. We can't kill terrorists anymore. There's a whore crying, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. I'm just seeing it now. I didn't even think of this before, but there's literally a whore crying. We have to stop killing terrorists. All right, so Ed Faggotsine. Mia Khalifa breaks down in tears. War Middle East. This is like unbelievable, bro. Now, here's Mia Khalifa celebrating that American soldiers have PTSD.
Good morning to everybody who is not in the U.S. military. Good morning to everybody who is sitting at home and not on soil that doesn't belong to them.
Good morning to everybody that is not an Islamic terrorist in Lebanon. You guys are having a really bad morning.
Fighting a war for a country that doesn't care about them. I hope you go over there and get your little brain all scrambled up with PTSD and then come back here and see how much the United States cares about you, Pookie. See how much they care about you when you come back with, oh, I'm so sad.
Can I just say I actually don't care that a whore is crying, that terrorists are getting blown up, and I'm actually pretty happy about it.
My pants every time I see a falafel stand in Manhattan. Let's see how much the VA cares about you. Let's see what they tell you to do with your little broken brain from going over to fight a war that's not yours. They're going to tell you to try breathing exercises because the U.S. government does not give a fuck about you once you cannot die for them.
Can you please continue paying your taxes so we can keep bombing terrorists in Lebanon, please? Thank you for your attention to this matter. And that's not the only one. This is the same Mia Khalifa that made this tweet on October 7th, 2023. We all remember what happened then. Can someone please tell the freedom fighters in Palestine, she means the Hamas terrorists in Israel, to flip their phones and film horizontal. All right? Quite literally, fuck yourself. I don't care about your fucking bitch-ass whore crying. None of that matters. Meanwhile, the Lebanon government is defending Israel. We literally have whores and leftists screaming that Israel is killing terrorists. Meanwhile, we have the Lebanon government defending Israel. He's saying nothing in war is humane. If Israel wanted to annihilate Shiites in Lebanon, it wouldn't give advanced warnings. We would be seeing 100,000 casualties, not 2,000. It's almost like they're literally warning people in advance to get out of the way so they can only blow up terrorists or something. And in fact, here is footage from inside a school in Lebanon. This is a school in Lebanon, ladies and gentlemen. The school in Lebanon that was utilized as a Hezbollah military base. All right, and this is just normal. So, you know, when they cry about war crimes, they cry about bombing schools. They're doing the war crimes, my man. All right. Now, in fact, the presidente of our country had this to say.
Lebanon is under attack, and Hezbollah is making dangers for the Lebanese, and especially the Lebanese Christians. What is your message for Lebanon?
Well, we're working on it very hard. We love Lebanon.
We love Lebanon.
We love the people of Lebanon.
We love the people of Lebanon.
and we're working very hard. We got to get rid of the Hezbollah.
We got to get rid of the Hezbollah. It's unbelievable how consistent Trump is. Like, this dude's been super consistent the entire time. Here's another sitting Lebanese member of parliament, Kamil Shamoun, literally commending the Israeli Defense Force. It's the only army I've ever seen that warns the local population that it's going to bomb and then asks the evacuation of civilians. That's pretty insane. Now, in fact, this is an unconfirmed story, so I take it with a grain of salt. I do my best to do the research. This is unconfirmed. The Israeli channel 24 News said that Lebanon was on the verge of experiencing a military coup against the state similar to May 7th, aimed at overthrowing the government. This would have been prepared by Hezbollah a few hours before the last strike carried out by the Israeli army, and Israel obliterated Hezbollah before they were able to coup their government. Again, this is just allegedly. I don't know if this is true. Take it with a grain of salt. This is Hezbollah releasing footage of launching missiles from civilian homes in Lebanon. Like they admitted themselves. It's honestly insane that they're so nice about it that they literally do it themselves. This is Lebanon's justice minister saying that actually, you know whose fault it is that Israel is striking Lebanon? Hezbollah, the terrorist organization.
Your government is taking quite a hard line on Hezbollah. Your president has said there's a ban, he's announced a ban on all Hezbollah military actions, but they're still fighting. So what can you do? I mean, first of all, what can you do to stop them right now?
No, what is important at the beginning is to explain a little bit that after a long period of time, where Hezbollah was installing all its military infrastructure. This government was appointed 1 year ago, and this government took a first decision through the governmental declaration that has been presented to the parliament, where it was clearly stated that the monopoly of the state of the strengths must be given only to the states, and this is a condition to build the states. So this first decision was taken through this declaration, and the declaration was approved by all the ministers, including the ministers close to Hezbollah, and this decision was also presented to the parliament, and the government was granted the confidence of the parliament with MPs pertaining to Hezbollah. The government was granted the confidence. Then
And no one ever listened to it, and Hezbollah still making weapons, and Hezbollah still fired rockets, but ultimately, that's pretty fucking bad. So this is the craziest part, man. Then Hezbollah took the unilateral decision to launch rockets against Israel. They gave the pretext to Israel to start a large war.
The government took another decision to start implementing the monopoly of the strengths in the hands of the states through the army's action. And also, after that, there was strikes coming from Israel, and Israel was taking as a pretext the presence of the military infrastructure of Hezbollah. But the position of the state is that in order to build for internal reasons and for the interest of Lebanon, it was very important to implement the monopoly of the weapons.
And you can't have Hezbollah firing missiles.
Hezbollah was complicating the process. Hezbollah did not cooperate as much as it should in this process. And by not cooperating, it was clear that Hezbollah was offering also pretexts for Israel to strike on Lebanon.
Mm-hmm. That's right. It's almost like the strikes on Israel, from Israel to Lebanon, are literally because Hezbollah is a terrorist organization firing missiles into Israel. Now, the reality is very simple. We have the actual Lebanon government saying that what Israel is doing is right. We have the Lebanon defense minister saying that what Israel is doing is right by bombing these terrorists. We have Trump and Vance and Caroline Leavitt all saying that this has nothing to do with the peace deal. But Tucker Carlson says he knows better. But Tucker Carlson says no. But Cenk Uygur says Israel is blowing up the peace deal. Right? Obviously. Of course. Yes, clearly. These are Christians in Lebanon, talking about protecting their holy sites from Islamists that murdered them. He ended up getting murdered by Islamists in Lebanon. Just heartbreaking, man. I can't even watch this shit. It's just so sad. All right. And then you watch people like in America being like, Lebanon didn't hurt anybody. They only have a militia internally. Why is Israel attacking Lebanon?
They're valid, but any of the ones that are... Lebanon didn't do anything to anybody, all right?
Hezbollah is a terrorist organization operating out of Lebanon that's been firing missiles into Israel for the last, 40 years. They fired 10,000 missiles into Israel over the last, 2 years. Well, what are we even doing, man?
Lebanon hasn't hurt anybody. The only thing you could possibly say about Lebanon is that internally, they have a militia movement. It's not the Lebanese government. It's not Lebanon as a people. There is a militia inside Lebanon called Hezbollah.
Correct, yes.
That does not allow Israel to take over Lebanon.
They fire missiles into Israel. What are we even doing? What are we even doing? Like, are we being serious here for like a half a second? Like, I'm just feel like we're watching retards regurgitate the most obviously debunked information of all time. All right. Hezbollah is just preventing Israel from growing. Hezbollah's been bombing Israel for inside Israel for like the last 40 years. Like, it's unbelievable watching these people do this shit. It's just shocking. It literally is shocking. Watching, it's Lebanon government. Yes, Israel is attacking us, and I get it. It's because Hezbollah is bombing them. Some dumb-ass fucking retard podcaster in America. I can't believe Israel would violate the ceasefire. That doesn't apply here. But yeah, it's unbelievable. It's actually just insane. This is Emmanuel Macron, president of France. I've spoken with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun, Prime Minister Nawaf Salam. I've expressed France's full solidarity in the face of indiscriminate strikes carried out by Israel today. Excuse me? The strikes were against terrorists. They weren't indiscriminate. I know people like big words, which resulted in a very high number of civilian casualties. Yep, that's called collateral damage. It's very sad. I wish it never happened. But it happens in every single conflict ever in the history of warfare. And, you know, this wouldn't have happened if Lebanon wouldn't have a terrorist organization in its country bombing Israel. Like, it's just unbelievable. We condemn these strikes in the strongest possible terms. Again, this is just, hi, I'm a French retard. I'm gay. I take it up the ass. I condemn countries not letting Muslims rape their children. I would know, because I let that happen here. They pose a threat to the stability of the ceasefire that has been reached. This has nothing to do with the ceasefire. Lebanon must be fully covered by it. It's literally not. It's not. It's not covered by it. These people are all retarded. If European leaders don't want Israel to fight Hezbollah, they are welcome to form a military force that will work with the Lebanese armed forces to dismantle Iran's proxy army themselves. We will not be sitting ducks because Israeli lives mean nothing. Brutal. Just absolutely brutal watching this, man. It's like, and this is all just some indirect way to attack Trump. Oh, Trump is letting all this happen. Trump is letting this happen. I can't believe it. Well, the reality is, it seems like it's going to stop.
The missile fire has been quiet tonight. No new missiles into Israel this evening. And it looks like the vice president's planned trip to Islamabad for peace talks is still on schedule. Sean, back to you.
All right, so that's even though they violated the ceasefire, it seems like that is still happening, which we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But the reality is, it's just unbelievable watching the world just cave to these retards. So this is a statement from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In light of Lebanon's repeated request to open direct negotiations with Israel, I instructed the government meeting today to open direct negotiations with Lebanon as soon as possible. Negotiations will focus on the full disarmament of Hezbollah and the establishing of peaceful relationships between Israel and Lebanon. Israel appreciates the call made by the Prime Minister of Lebanon to demilitarize Beirut. All right. Well, we'll see where that goes. We'll see what happens there. They failed to demilitarize Hezbollah for a while now, but if things will change now, that would be great for everybody, I guess. And here it is. Prime Minister Netanyahu is actually moving towards peace talks there, which is pretty crazy. It really is pretty insane. Like, we are witnessing unfathomable levels of peace under Donald Trump, which is pretty wild. And this is a little statement from Netanyahu to the residents of northern Israel who have been getting pelted by Hezbollah every single day for the last, definitely for the last 38 days. I'm proud of you. You stand firm. There is no ceasefire in Lebanon. We will figure this out, but we are continuing to strike Hezbollah with full force and will not stop until we restore your security. Ultimately, we'll see where this goes. Obviously, no one knows where this goes. Obviously, Netanyahu is very, very happy to wage wars. I'm sorry to be blunt, but the reality is, this is not like some major miscalculation by Donald Trump. Trump thought we were going to make a peace deal and then Israel blew it up by bombing Lebanon terrorists. No, that has nothing to do with anything. All these retards are using everything in their possible arsenal, in my opinion, to take down Trump. I think they're doing everything they possibly can to take down Trump. They hate Israel, and they'll use Israel as their little wedge to take down Trump. Oh, Trump's peace deal is bad. Oh, Trump's allies are bad. Oh, Trump's policy is bad. Trump's wars are bad. Meanwhile, this is a war that was seemingly wrapped up to a large extent in 38 days. An unprecedentedly quick war, right, if you compare it to the infinite wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. All right, and the reality is we did something incredible. This is not a violation of the peace treaty, and it's honestly insane watching these people froth at the mouth trying to tear down something good. It's like the ultimate mask-off moment. It's crazy. And let's just say Trump had enough. Trump had enough. He sees all the screaming, all the yelling, especially about the Iran war, especially about the Lebanon situation. And Trump popped off, the likes of which we've never... Look at this. Look at this absolute monolith of a freaking tweet. Look at this bad boy. All right. Oh, my God. It's insane. It's crazy. They made a Star Trek opening, bro. They made a Star Wars opening of the Donald Trump tweet. Trump has enough of podcasters. Right, this is the entire post. I know Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been especially fighting me for years, especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon, because they have one thing in common: low IQs. They're stupid people. They know it. Their families know it. Everyone else knows it too. Look at their past. Look at their record. They don't even have what it takes, and they never did. They've all been thrown off television, lost their shows, and aren't even invited on TV because no one cares about them. They're nut jobs, troublemakers, and will say anything necessary for some free and cheap publicity. Now they think that they have some clicks because they have third-rate podcasts and no one's talking about them, and their views are the opposite of MAGA, or I wouldn't have won the presidential election in a landslide. MAGA agrees with me and just gave CNN a 100% approval rating of Trump, not hand-flailing fools like Tucker Carlson, who couldn't even finish college. He was a broken man when he got fired from Fox, and he's never been the same. Perhaps he should see a good psychiatrist. Or Megyn Kelly, who nastily asked me the now famous only Rosie O'Donnell question. Or crazy Candace Owens, who accuses the highly respected First Lady of France of being a man when she is not, and will hopefully win lots of money in the ongoing lawsuit. Actually, to me, the First Lady of France is a far more beautiful woman than Candace. In fact, it's not even close. Or bankrupt Alex Jones, who says the dumbest things and lost his entire fortune, as he should have, for his horrendous attack on the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims, ridiculously claiming it was a hoax. These so-called pundits are losers. They always will be. Now, fake news CNN, the flailing New York Times, and all the other radical left news organizations are hailing them, giving them positive press for the first time in their lives. They're not MAGA. They're losers, trying to latch onto MAGA. As president, I could get them on my side anytime I want to, but when they call, I don't return their calls because I'm too busy on the world's country affairs. And after a few times, they get nasty, like Marjorie Trader Brown. I no longer care about that stuff. I only care about what's doing right for our country. MAGA's about winning and strength, not allowing Iran to have nuclear weapons. MAGA's about making America great again, and these people have no idea how to do that, but I do, because the United States is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. President Donald J. Trump, thank you for your attention to this matter. They're faggots. Faggots and morons. Pathetic and gay. They're gay. So anyway, Donald Trump decided to release the mother of all posts. Now, this is an all-timer. This is a fucking all-timer. I'm not gonna lie. Holy shit. Like, I thought he was gonna say they're traitors. They're paid off by foreign government. They're slimy, they're chasing views, and he's just like, they're low IQ, they're fucking stupid, which is pretty wild. This tweet, it became an instant sensation everywhere. Right, before I tell you all my opinions on it, it became a sensation. They're making rap songs for this tweet.
I know Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones have all been fighting me for years. Especially by the fact that they think it is wonderful for Iran, the #1 sponsor of terror, to have a nuclear weapon. Because they have one thing in common. Low IQs. They're stupid people, they know it, their families know it.
Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. It's like, it's truly unbelievable, dude. Truly unbelievable stuff going on these days. Like, this is a wild tweet. But yeah, so this is an absolute evisceration. This is massive and huge, and I have many feelings about it. One of them is, I don't actually think Trump should have done this. I think this was kind of a bad move. Is it a hilarious tweet? Do I agree with basically everything he said? Yes, actually. But do I think it was a good idea? Not really. I don't think it's a good idea for Donald Trump to lower himself honestly, to anywhere remotely near their level by even getting into contact with them. But that said, that doesn't mean I'm just going to sit here and make believe that he wasn't based as fuck for some of the things he said, too. All right, so this is conservative influencer, Hogedwins. Funny, these are 4 of the biggest conservative podcasters. They all voted for him and told their massive audience to vote for him. This is their reward. So, like, the sentiment here is obviously, Trump betrayed Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, and Alex Jones. Trump betrayed them, and a lot of people seem to have this opinion. Trump attacks his own supporters more than the Epstein clients of the deep state. Now, honestly, this isn't even that wrong. I really wish Trump would go way harder on the deep state and the Epstein clients, etc., etc. I've said this many, many times, but these are not his supporters. I'm really tired of this whole narrative that Trump betrayed his base. Trump betrayed his base by going to war with Iran. Trump has been threatening this war with Iran for 40 years. Trump has been saying this for 40 years. For 40 years, every single time there's a president, he says, he's a weak man. He's gay. He's weak. He won't go to war with Iran. We need to obliterate Iran. He's been saying this for 40 years. Every single time, consistently. You can't have a nuclear weapon. We need to kill them. The Ayatollahs, they're really bad people. Like, he's been saying this forever. So, no, he did not betray his base. I think that's a retarded sentiment. And also, no, this isn't attacking his own supporters. This isn't betraying his own supporters or attacking his own supporters. These are not his supporters. All right, this is Tucker Carlson freaking out that, President Trump mocked Islam.
We can destroy life. We cannot create it because we are not God. The message of all faith at the biggest picture level is the end of it. We can destroy life. We cannot create the idea of faith itself.
No,
and we should never mock that because at its core is the acknowledgement that we.
How could you possibly mock faith? Because mocking one faith is like mocking faith itself. No, it's not. It's not at all, actually. Not even close. We're mocking retards that brush their teeth with sticks. How could he mock Islam? No! Please don't tell me Mr. President mocked Islam. All right, here's another one. I think this is treasonous, straight up.
If you work in the White House or in the U.S. military, now is time to say no, absolutely not, and say it directly to the president, no.
Right, so telling the military to say directly to the president no is actually sedition, and these people will get dishonorably discharged. And I like, are you telling me this is his supporter? Well, you're telling me Trump stabbed this guy in the back after this guy literally told the military to say no to their superiors?
You're thinking about using some weapon of mass destruction against the population of Iran, in whose name we liberated Iran. We killed their religious leader for their benefit. Do you remember that? This was last month.
You think we killed the religious leader of the Iranian people for their benefit? Like these people are just so unbelievably bad faith. We killed a religious leader of a terrorist organization that's been trying to kill the United States for 47 years, and that also has been oppressing the people of Iran for 47 years. You think that's the religious leader of Iran? Like, this guy is actually just siding with the Islamic oppressors of Iran.
Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this because this is insane. And if given the order.
And then he defends himself. But legally, the troops have to find a reason not to actually follow orders from the president. Like, this is actually insane, man. Like this is insane shit. What about her? Megyn Kelly. What, did Trump backstab her too?
Now, as you can imagine, that post did not go over well with the Iranians or with many Americans. I mean, I don't know about you, but I am sick of this shit. I'm sick of it. Can't he just behave like a normal human? I mean, honestly, like the president, 3D chess, shut up.
Actually, 3D chess is just regular chess. But the reality is, like, are these Trump's great supporters? Well, what about Candace Owens? Candace Owens saying, the Iranian president tweets like he's willing to sacrifice his life for his people. Donald Trump was willing to sacrifice Charlie Kirk and sacrifice every American life for greater Israel. This is not only Candace Owens saying that Donald Trump killed Charlie Kirk, but also calling Donald Trump a satanic, genocidal maniac, sacrificing all of America on this altar. What, is this his supporter that he's backstabbing? Like, let's be honest. All right, or what about Alex Jones? All right, Alex Jones is a big supporter of Donald Trump back in the day, for sure, but this is him calling for Trump to be impeached.
Compared to existential threat, how do we 25th Amendment his ass?
How do we 25th Amendment his ass? What, is this Trump supporter? Is Trump backstabbing him by saying this?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president and publicly report that he's going through a health issue and Vance take over.
All right, so hostile takeover of the United States government is what Vance and weird old hat guy are saying. All right, so Alex Jones, rather. So are we on the same page here? Are we on the same page? So when Donald Trump makes this tweet, he is calling out traitors and backstabbers, and quite literally people that are trying to get him impeached and sound more pathetic and gay and flamboyant than any leftist I've ever seen in my life. Like this is truly baby shit. We elected Donald Trump to be president of the United States, which means we have given him authority to do things, which also means if you don't like it, you gotta fucking lump it. All right, that's what it's all about. All right, so everyone calling for his impeachment. Trump has killed Charlie Kirk, according to Candace Owens. You need to tackle him and have a hostile takeover of the government, according to Alex Jones and Hat Guy. All right, we have Tucker Carlson telling the military to disobey his orders. Like, are we being serious here? So here we have Mehdi Hasan, radical leftist Islamist. I'm so tired of people letting Trump get away with this, whether it's Joe Kent or Tucker Carlson. People whom he previously loved, befriended, employed, immediately become enemies and the worst people if they dare disagree with him. They didn't disagree with him. Here we have literal fucking terrorist supporters like Mehdi Hasan stroking the ego of these allegedly conservative podcasters. It's truly insane stuff. It really is truly insane stuff watching this happen forever on the timeline. Like, these are traitors, and I called them all out first. I was literally first about it. Like, this is Tucker Carlson talking about how people in the White House are leaking him information.
So there are people working really hard, really late, trying to fix this, to get a peace, even one that diminishes us, where we have to take some lumps. They are doing that. That's the only reason we got to where we were yesterday. It's because people in the White House, taking no credit for it whatsoever.
So this is him saying that he has personal leaks from the White House, which is why he has this information. And he says with zero evidence that this peace deal that was made was not because of Trump. It was made because people are pressuring Trump in the White House. And even though it's to the detriment of the United States of America, we're going to do it because we can't fucking possibly hurt Iran, right? Again, this seems pretty treasonous. It seems traitorous to me. All right, so again, I take it with a grain of salt, man. All right, this is one of the wildest one ever. This is him saying that actually the attempted assassination against Donald Trump, it wasn't done by the Iranians. It wasn't done by some lone gunman. It was Israel that tried to assassinate Donald Trump.
Why can't this president or any president say no to Israel?
Every single president has said no to Israel. Israel was bombing Iran 8 months ago, and Trump said they don't know what the fuck they're doing and told Israel to stop. Trump told them to stop. You know, every single other president did too. So, no one more than Barack Hussein Obama told them to stop. All right, Israel ended up giving up so much land because they were told to stop by different presidents. It is unbelievable rewriting of history to say that presidents can't tell Israel to stop.
And we have a right.
You realize that Israel used to own Gaza, right? You realize Israel gave Gaza away so that there could be like this independent state of Palestine. Then they elected Hamas as their government, and then they started killing Jews. Right? You remember that?
To know why. It's not just because we love Israel and it's the only democracy in the Middle East. And if it is, then our leaders are dumber than we thought they were. But it's probably not that. Because they understand perfectly well how bad this is for the U.S. And there are, believe it or not,
all right,
a lot of people in the White House who care about the United States.
That's crazy.
People with power in the White House. They're not all whatever you think they are, zombies doing Bibi's bidding. Some of them can see very clearly where this is heading. It's heading toward a nuclear...
Well, I love how this dude straight up went all the way down the Israel controls the United States rabbit hole.
...strike by Israel on Iran. That's obvious.
Israel's not nuclear striking Iran. What are we fucking doing, man? It's not happening.
And that would be a world historic disaster. It's also
not going to happen.
Clearly terrible for the American economy, for the American people.
It's not happening.
Not even to mention the Americans who will die in numbers.
It's not happening.
If this becomes a land war. So there are people working...
Literally, it's not a land war. So you were proven wrong.
Really hard, really late trying to fix this, to get a peace, even one that diminishes us, where we have to take some lumps. They are doing that. That's the only reason we got to where we were yesterday. It's because people in the White House taking no credit for control over our government. Is it consent? It doesn't look like it.
So what happened?
Now, Joe Kent said point blank when he resigned. By the
Joe
way,
Kent, completely debunked a loser.
The day he resigned, he retained highest level security clearance. They tried to tell you, oh, he was a leaker. He was under investigation. It was a lie. They admitted it was a lie. He wasn't under investigation by the FBI. Untrue. And you know it's untrue because he held his security clearance till the day he left the building. So there's no...
Okay, so he left, and then he decided to do a little podcast run with all the podcast bros.
Oh, intelligence in the U.S. government that Joe Kent couldn't see.
Okay.
None.
Okay. And he still doesn't know who Epstein was working for? Sorry. Okay, all right.
He was one of the most informed people in the world, and his conclusion was, there's something weird going on here.
Yeah, and a lot of other people's conclusion was not that, it seems.
And one of the clues is the Butler shooting. The shooting in the summer of 2024 during the presidential election where President Trump was shot in the ear by a gunman a little over 100 yards away on the roof of a building called Thomas Crooks.
Okay.
And according to Joe Kent, who would know, that investigation was closed before it pursued every possible lead.
Okay.
We can be
That's bad.
fairly confident that Thomas Crooks pulled the trigger. We cannot be confident at all that he acted alone.
Okay.
And of course, we can't know because that investigation was shut down. That's
okay,
what he
that's
said.
bad, obviously.
And Joe Kent, who you can dismiss as a wacko or a traitor, but you can't say
he's definitely a traitor.
Doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's definitely a traitor.
And you can't say the Trump administration didn't trust him with all available U.S. intelligence until the day he left. You can't say that because they did.
Okay, maybe. I don't know. From what I understand, that's literally not true. It was proven and confirmed by literally the Donald Trump White House that he was not allowed into security meetings. He was not allowed into all of the security meetings for Iran, the Iran war. So this is just a lie.
He has said out loud he thinks the failure to investigate the Butler shooting, the shooting of our now president Donald Trump. And why wouldn't they investigate that, by the way? That alone is baffling.
Say it.
Why wouldn't they release
Stop
all the
wasting
information
time.
they have
Only
about
five.
Thomas Crooks? They haven't. Why? If it was a lone gunman, why didn't tell us all you know? But they haven't. Why?
Why? Tell us.
He believes that is connected to the control that Israel has over
That's right. Israel tried to assassinate Donald Trump.
the United States government, the demonstrable control. He said that.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really glad we were able to have this gigantic listen. So the reason why, so Israel controls Trump, but also Israel tried to assassinate Trump, is what we're saying. Like, so are you really gonna say that Trump backstabbed Tucker Carlson by calling him a retard? He is a retard. He actually is a retard. Candace Owens says, I may be time to put grandpa in a home when he made this tweet. Hello? You didn't know what temperature ice melts and what at temperature water freezes. Like you are retarded. You are low IQ. Well, we're just being honest here, right? Like, what are you so bad? This is Candace Owens when her friend gets assassinated. This is Donald Trump when Trump mocks Islam, right? Like, for real. This is levels of retard we've never seen before. Trump is right. These are low IQ grifters, all right? There will never be a peace in the world when Israel exists, all right? Just Candace casually calling for Israel to die. Like, you know, are we being serious here? Like, these are actual low IQ retard grifters. So, yeah. Donald Trump made a generational tweet. Candace makes this post saying, you know how big you got to be to make the Western Wall look small? Here's a picture of Randy Fine, a fat Jew. Oh my God, he's so fat. And Randy Fine, of course, responds with, honestly, something that will forever be relevant. Low IQ. That is correct, ladies and gentlemen. This is just the low IQ. And look, man, the list just goes on forever. Here's Tucker Carlson saying the moon landing is fake. Here's Candace Owens not knowing how to pronounce words.
Posthumously, cordially accepted those posthumous terms. SCIF, which stands for a sensitive, compartmented, if you can't compartmentalize, and a CEO and a chair, or even, and the NFL football team say blitzkrieg, like,
Blitzkrieg.
God, like, no, he just liked the architecture.
So, the reality is, are we being serious? This is, the gigantic, Egyptian planes following Erica Kirk around, which is completely debunked. She changed the story 80 times over the course of her investigation, and Tucker Carlson ended up going on Theo Von's podcast to basically say that, no, actually, the Egyptian plane stuff is airtight. It's pretty solid. It's totally true.
But I know that recently Candace said that Egyptian registered aircraft were following Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, around for a number of years in different places in the world. That's one of the weirdest things I've ever heard, and I just want to say that is factually true.
It is factually false. It's totally false. It's not even remotely true. It was completely and utterly debunked. I've shown this in previous videos, like a whole bunch of times. And we just need to live with these guys. These guys just going out there spouting the most retarded shit in the universe. All right, this is, Alex Jones responding to Donald Trump.
It's done. But at the end of the day, I just feel sorry for him and pray that God touch his heart and soul and free him from the demonic influences that he's under.
Right, so Donald Trump is upset that these people have been calling for his impeachment and to use the 25th Amendment because he's possessed by a demon. Like, we're not even taking this seriously, man. Like, what are we doing? All right, so this is Megyn Kelly saying that she would have preferred to vote for Biden. Yeah, so the GOP before Trump gave us Obamacare, open borders, Wall Street bailouts, and Ukraine blank checks. Right, but this is what they are saying. It makes it seem like they want to go back to. Like, I like to think of them as like, and I was going to say this to the end, but they're like a counterculture. They get their clicks by being the counterculture, and it's the only thing they know how to be. They don't know how to solve problems. They only know how to criticize situations. All right, so I think that they exist as a counterculture, the counter to the culture that was the woke bullshit under Biden. So they were super prevalent under Biden, criticizing the woke shit. But now that Trump is the dominant culture, and that the dominant culture in America is more conservative leaning, and that we're tired of all like the infinite whores and the LGBTQ plus community and all that bullshit. Now that everyone's tired of that, trans fatigue is through the roof. All right, we're all racist now. Like, we admit it. We're finally able to admit it. Yes. Yes, we're a little bit racist. I'm not going to lie. I would cross the street if I saw a group of rowdy people of nebulous ethnic background walking towards me with their pants half off. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I think that all people are made in the image of God and all people are equal inherently. But statistically, some are more violent. You know what I'm saying? So the reality is, we don't have to play this game anymore, man. We don't have to play this game anymore. But these people only know how to be the counterculture. So retards like Megyn Kelly, who, by the way, in 2015 was pro-trans. Like, okay, pro-trans children. And so this is her saying that Obama and Biden were better presidents.
In there, in that situation room, when Bibi Netanyahu was seated as an equal, Trump didn't even sit at the head of the table. Trump sat at the side of the table, and Bibi was across from him as an equal. In the American Situation Room, what led him to sit there and buy what that guy was selling hook, line, and sinker when every other president was able to see through that liar?
Yeah, and all the other presidents were just better than Trump. What can I say? Trump, what a fool, a stickler, an idiot, immediately fooled by Netanyahu. All the other presidents, geniuses. They saw through it immediately. Incredible stuff. Well, you might think that, wow, I can't believe that we have a conservative glazing Obama, the destroyer of America, and Biden, the destroyer of America too. Well, she also praises the Islamic regime.
And more death and destruction. The Iranians proved to be tough MFers. And they realized that they had something far more powerful than a nuclear bomb. They had control over the Strait of Hormuz. And Trump was warned prior to getting involved in this conflict by...
You think Trump didn't realize that they could commit acts of terror on the Strait of Hormuz? Like, I love how everyone just thinks that, like, oh yeah, they have this, the Strait of Hormuz is just theirs and stuff. It's not theirs. It's public shipping, right? They're committing terror attacks, and the entire world decided to do nothing about it.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs, that they were not likely to collapse easily, and that...
So let me understand just for a second the Megyn Kelly perspective, which is, again, just someone that exists to criticize others and doesn't actually exist to posit any form of growth or solution, because she is not a conservative. She's never been a conservative. She's always been a covert feminist. She's never been a conservative. All right, but the reality is, let's be honest. Well, what's her solution? Let Iran get a nuclear weapon and then deal with them? But then they'll just strangle the Strait of Hormuz with the nuclear weapon. Like, do you understand how retarded this line of argumentation is? It's like, well, you know, Iran, they wouldn't have gotten a nuclear weapon for like 5 years. Okay, so then when, in your timeline, assuming it would take 5 years for them to get a nuclear weapon, because we know that they are going to do it. They enriched uranium to 60%. We know it's inevitable. So on your timeline, when's the best time to stop Iran? In 4 years? Well, in 4 years, they will have a ballistic missile arsenal that is massive, 100 times the size that it is now. We would have taken thousands of losses and casualties in a war, and we would have never been able to open the Strait of Hormuz. Never. So, like, again, this is the perspective that you're offering here. Like, it's completely retarded. Megyn Kelly is doing shows now with Anna Kasparian, radical leftist, pro-Islamist retard. Like, do we understand what is happening here in front of our eyes? Like, so these are the people that Donald Trump is criticizing. Donald Trump didn't just randomly pick 4 conservative podcasters and blast them because they criticized him. A lot of people criticize Donald Trump. You know, honestly, a lot of people criticize Donald Trump. But these people are all frauds and morons. I'm sorry. They are. Right? This is the clip that forever cemented Donald Trump, Megyn Kelly as a Trump hater, whether she wanted to admit it or not.
You've called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. No, you offended women. Donald Trump, you offended women. Wow, look at that look of absolute defeat. No, Donald, you offended women. No, I can't believe you would offend women like that. So Donald Trump has been completely justified with all of these fuckers. I'm not even going to lie. And again, this is Jack Posobiec, someone who's like a very close friend of Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and all these people. And this is him posting straight up Iranian terrorist state propaganda, showing videos of how Iran is actually a paradise.
Iran.
Anyway, so I'm going to get copyrighted for this gay music, but look at how Iran is such a paradise. The cars are nice. The people are so free. The people are so free, guys. This is like the equivalent of showing literally a mansion in Beverly Hills and being like, Congo. Like, that's the equivalent here. This is what's going on in Iran, man. If you want to actually pay attention to what's going on in Iran, you have to admit that what's really happening, right? So this is Iran and India saying, look, it's a coffee shop in Tehran, the first day of the ceasefire. Look, it's so beautiful. Everyone is so free. Boomer minds would break if they saw this on Fox News. Wow, look, it's so free. It's beautiful. This is literally a bakery in LA. This is in LA. This is not in Iran. All right. But the reality is no one matters. It doesn't matter. You get a viral tweet and that's the only thing that people care about. No one actually gives a shit about reality. Reality doesn't even matter to these people, but that's it. Anyway, these are Iranians dancing in public. They were sentenced to 10 years in prison for dancing in public. All right. So while we have based podcasters, preaching based values, they're literally just whitewashing the unbelievable crimes that are happening against the Iranian people in Iran as a weapon to attack Trump. All right, these are how the Islamic forces just mowed people down in the streets. They had to power wash blood off the roads after these massacres took place, man. Now, one of the arguments that Tucker Carlson made was that Joe Kent left because he knew that Israel was controlling everyone and stuff. And watch him just fold on that entire claim with zero pressure, like literally under zero pressure.
Withhold things from the Israelis, which we can do. The Israelis do have a modern Air Force, but they rely on us for a lot of the logistics, the refueling, in order to be able to reach into Iran. So we very much are in the driver's seat of what we provide.
Well, that's not true, Joe. That's just...
So that's just factually false. Israel fought a war basically entirely themselves 8 months ago and humiliated Iran. So this is just not true.
Obviously false because we didn't help them with refueling.
No, it's 100% true. They can't reach into. They cannot reach into Israel. I've actually been in the military, man. I've been part of these operations.
Like, that's really cool for you. That's really awesome. But you're literally proven wrong by reality.
Explain how they did the 12-day war without refueling.
We helped them out.
No, we did not. We did not participate in the 12-day war until Midnight Hammer, where we dropped a big fucking bomb on their nuclear sites. We did not assist at all in any Israeli strikes on Iran during that 12-day war 8 months ago.
We helped them out. Well, we helped them out a good.
Struck the hell out of
well, we helped them out a good deal with logistics. They can't
logistics. What, you just said that it was refueling.
Sustain operations without us. They wouldn't be able to continue to sustain operations all the way into Iran with conventional military forces in any meaningful way.
Which they did. And they only stopped because Trump literally told them they have to stop. And then they stopped because they listened to basically everything that Trump says.
Without our support. We have to pull that back. We also have to pull back their ability to go on the offense outside of their borders because it's going to interfere with the peace that we're trying to achieve. Right?
Yeah. How dare Israel strike terrorists in Lebanon that are shooting missiles at them because it might make it bad for us. Again, this guy is unbelievable.
Right now, we're paying for their defense. We're paying for the offense. And also in terms of our status in the region and our ability to keep commerce and oil flow going out of the Straits of Hormuz and the Middle East, all of that is being negatively affected by us.
Has nothing to do with Israel. That's because Islamic Iranian terrorists are bombing ships in there.
Us listening to a foreign government.
This has nothing to do with Israel.
So we have to put Israel back in the junior partner role if we're going to accomplish our strategic
Why couldn't
objectives.
you persuade Pete Hegseth of any of this?
Oh, shit. Here's the question. So if this guy was briefed and he had all the classified info and he saw that Israel was manipulating us and all that, while you were literally head of counterterrorism, why couldn't you talk to Pete Hegseth about this?
Well, I tried. So that
I wonder why I didn't listen.
And he didn't agree with you, and he has better intelligence than you. You weren't privy to any of this stuff. Like, you just don't know. That's why you're now on the outside doing podcasts.
True! Bro decided he was going to really help America by stepping down as counterterrorism chief and become a podcaster. Are we even being serious?
Instead of inside the administration trying to shape policy.
Oh, my God. True.
You don't know.
Well,
you didn't persuade him
from the inside.
Bro.
Like, look, man, my letter of resignation has been out there. What's important right now is that we support President Trump and getting.
Oh, yes, we must support President Trump. All right, so again, these people are completely fucking retard snakes. And in my opinion, they're trying to do a hostile takeover of the Republican Party. Now, I have my issues with the Republican Party. I don't think it's nearly conservative enough. I don't think it's nearly radical enough. I've criticized Trump many, many times on my show. He's not nearly hard enough in faith matters, in my opinion. I would love to criminalize abortion. I would like to remove gay marriage. I don't think that I think marriage is a holy concept. It's a religious concept between man and woman. I don't think gay marriage is a real thing. I would like to deport every single illegal, and I would like to revoke like the visas and citizenships of as many people as we possibly can. Impeach the judges and jail the politicians that are fraudsters. I disagree with him plenty on things. I don't think he's nearly radical enough on most areas, but I'm not a fucking snake, and I'm not paid off by foreign countries, and I'm not rooting against the United States of America. Fuck you. As far as fraud is concerned, massive steps in the right direction have actually been made. All right, so we recently put this guy as the new, acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, and he's been kind of cooking, I'm not going to lie.
Every day, Department of Justice investigators and prosecutors work to punish those who commit fraud. For example, just this week, and it's only Tuesday, a criminal defendant was sentenced and the department obtained 2 additional guilty pleas in matters totaling over $500 million in healthcare and COVID fraud.
That's pretty good.
If you think about that,
good.
Just since
Jail
yesterday, we had a guilty plea in a $160 million healthcare enrollment fraud scheme and a sentencing in a $100 million COVID-19 fraud and a guilty plea in a $160 million healthcare fraud scheme as well.
Damn, this guy's like, no bullshit. He's just like, all right, lots of these. We're jailing the retards. The retards have got to go. And here's the crazy thing. They're bringing in another 93 prosecutors to jail as many of these fraudsters as possible. I'm really happy that Trump is actually taking this seriously.
This isn't new for this department. We have a storied history of combating fraud and bringing criminal actors to justice. But the department has never adopted a comprehensive and coordinated approach to investigating and prosecuting fraud against taxpayer dollars and taxpayer-funded programs. With over $1 trillion
how have they never done this before?
At stake, every single...
How has this never happened before? Was it just because a couple of YouTubers decided to make videos calling this out and it was like, holy shit, maybe we should do something about it? Like, let's be honest. Right, Nick SHIRLEY investigates, and then Taku reacts, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit. It's like, whoa, this is a real thing happening, guys. We should make a fraud task force. It's crazy that no one thought of this before.
Year, threatened by increasingly sophisticated and opportunistic fraudsters. The time for this comprehensive and coordinated approach is now.
That's right.
And so today,
You're going to jail.
Proud to announce in greater detail the creation of the National Fraud Enforcement Division. Its core mission will be to zealously investigate and prosecute those who steal taxpayer dollars and rip off the American people.
That's right.
Our vision is to build a robust fraud-fighting...
We're actually getting arrests. You know, I see very often people in my comments saying, I'll believe it when there's arrests. We've had arrests. Now, it's not famous people that are arrested yet. But they're coming. It's happening. All right, I'm just saying. I'm one of those people, too. I'm like, wake me when someone goes to jail. People are actually going to jail.
Capable of investigating and prosecuting the full spectrum of fraud against taxpayer dollars. We are going to staff this division by some of the department's best prosecutors, bringing together experts in healthcare fraud, tax fraud, benefits fraud, and corporate fraud under one roof with one mission: to protect the American people from fraud.
Good. I do not like the idea that I work my butt off, I make a living, I pay taxes, and then the taxes go to the government, and then the government sends it to Somalia. I don't like that at all. It honestly makes me sick, and I really hate paying taxes. But I even hate it more when I know that the money is going to Somalia, or some fucking retard federal judge or whatever that's releasing Irina Zarutska's killer from jail.
Every U.S. Attorney's Office across the country will also be joining this re-energized fight against fraud. This means, in pure numbers, that there will be an additional 93 prosecutors in every district across the country devoted to the mission of combating fraud with the National Fraud Enforcement Division.
So this is a big deal. Things are actually finally happening.
Fraud specific.
This is a fantastic one, and this is why I like this guy.
CBS has done a lot of reporting on hospice fraud specifically. What are you doing to clamp down on that? Who exactly are you targeting?
Who are you targeting to clamp down on hospice fraud specifically?
Doctors, owners, when it comes to hospice fraud specifically.
Yes, exactly. I mean, everybody that participates in it. I mean, you see the...
Everybody.
That fraud is the question was about hospice fraud, and that's the purest form of stealing from the American people's pockets. In that it is a lot of money designed to help the most vulnerable among us, and so who are we prosecuting? It depends on who's committing the crime. If it's the doctor, it's the doctor. If it's the hospital organization itself, fine. If it's the families of the patient,
That's
fine.
Right. That's right. And if it's the politician, fine. All right, it's pretty good stuff.
You said earlier that this Department of Justice has indicted President Trump 4 times. Can you explain what you base that statement on? Because obviously you now run this department. Are you basing that on your experience as a defense lawyer for the president, or are you basing that
I read what you wrote. What kind of question is that? He got indicted 4 times. He got indicted in Florida, and then he got indicted in D.C., and then they superseded in Florida, and then they superseded in D.C. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's not, am I breaking news there, that he got indicted 4 times by the feds?
That's how the media works. That's just how the media operates. Now, Gavin Newsom decides he's going to get ahead of this mess. He's going to get ahead of this. All right, so this guy's planning on running for president in 2028. Let me not forget. Don't forget. California is again leading the charge against large-scale identity theft and hospice fraud. What? What are we talking about? Oh my God! Today we're taking decisive action against 14 providers who tried to use stolen identities, Medicare for non-existent hospice services. So they're trying their absolute best. It's incredible. As you can see, this has 3 million views, 2,000 likes, 12,000 replies. They're fucking killing him. They're killing him. Right? And no one cares. So Nick Shirley made an entire video investigating hospice fraud, and this was Newsom's response. Nick Shirley right now, hey, can I see your kids? With, creepy Nick Shirley AI with a bunch of cameras. Remember when Left made believe they cared about AI? Anyway, they don't actually care about anything, you'll notice. They only care about power. Right? If you pay attention, you'll know. But the reality is, Nick Shirley responds, you tried to paint me as a pervert for exposing fraud, and as a result, radical leftists started trying to dox me and send death threats trying to kill me. Now you're taking credit for leading the charge on fraud? Are you serious? You are the fraud. This is 255,000 likes. 255,000 likes. Oh my God. Right? This was new scam just yesterday, and today he's admitting that hospices are committing fraud. This is literally his tweet from yesterday, bro. Unbelievable. Fact check. After Nick Shirley exposed widespread hospice fraud because multiple hospices operate at the same location, turns out 9 out of the 10 hospices at one location don't even bill state taxpayers for hospice care. Turns out most of them are private, and most of them aren't even taking state taxpayers. Wow. And then one day later, he's like, I am leading the charge against hospice fraud. This unbelievable dipshit is honestly insane. All right, Gavin Newsom, in fact, got exposed so badly, I think he's trying to get ahead of this by making believe he's leading the charge against fraud. Turns out we've already had confirmed that California lost over $180 billion to fraud under Newsom.
Because these in-home care providers give about $150 million a year to the labor unions, which are, of course, Gavin Newsom's #1 kind of political power base. And so it is a cycle of corruption. Newsom gives $30 billion in taxpayer money to these in-home caregivers, including huge numbers of fraud. These caregivers give money to the unions give the money back to Gavin Newsom. This is the dirty business of California, and he's blowing it wide open.
Leading the charge on fraud, are we, Mr. New Scam? Pretty crazy. Now, this is another breaking news. 5 more people were arrested last night in California.
And yesterday, we successfully executed search and arrest warrants at 10 separate locations and arrested 5 suspects so far throughout Southern California. I'm going to break down the details of this operation in a moment, but first, I just want to make one point very clear. This is just the latest example of the California DOJ's long-standing, ongoing, and successful efforts to combat hospice and Medi-Cal fraud.
Which they've never actually done before, and now they're only doing it because it was exposed and everyone's talking about it. Trump, is getting a task force to investigate it. They're investigating Gavin Newsom. And all of a sudden, California is making arrests. Wow! All of a sudden, California's arresting people that are engaged in fraud. Like, are we being... Like, this is crazy, dude. It's like, it's actually crazy. It's actually insane, man. Like, how transparent this all is. They never cared before. They've never given a little bit of a shit. They've never even cared a modicum of a shit, to the point that they were making fun of Nick Shirley for investigating. Right? They were telling Nick Shirley that his investigation was false. They called him a pervert for doing these investigations. Unbelievable. Meanwhile, now, all of a sudden, wow, we're arresting people, as we always have. Like, these people are so transparent, it's crazy. They've never cared about the fraud. And you know what? If you care about Medicaid or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott, according to HASAN PIKER, right? Literally telling people to kill people for doing fraud, right? Meanwhile, you have the entire Democratic Party running defense for fraudsters. Like, it's honestly insane stuff. Now, Asmongold had a pretty good statement here. So this account tweets, Vice President J.D. Vance's new anti-fraud task force has identified nearly $6.3 billion in government contracts that are going to potentially fraudulent businesses. Asmongold replies, that's it. Unless these discoveries are followed by Old Testament personal accountability, the fraud will continue. We are losing probably more than $1 trillion a year. A 23-year YouTuber, without him, this would not be happening. And the truth is, he's right. He's totally right. We definitely have more fraud than this. It's not even close. Like, 6.3 billion is definitely nice. It's better than before. But it's not enough. See, that's my major issue with Trump. My major issue with Trump in general is that, like, he doesn't go hard enough. I wish Trump was the scary fucking fascist that the left thinks he is. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I want these fraudsters to all be in labor camps paying up the money that they've stolen. And if it'll take their entire life to work in a labor camp to pay it up, then that's where they should be until they die. My stance is incredibly simple here. Law and order to the fucking extreme. You kill someone, we execute you. You steal from someone, you pay it back. You can't pay it back, labor camp until you make up as much money as you've stolen. And you know what? If some of these fraudsters would see their buddies in labor camps from dawn till dusk every day, they'll probably stop frauding, because ain't no one wants to take that fucking chance. And the reality is, though, it is working.
This is the FBI. We have a warrant.
Oh,
we now
shit.
have proof that Nick Shirley was.
Nick Shirley was right all along.
Right about what was happening in Southern California with fraud in the hospice care racket. We have arrests.
Federal authorities just announced the arrest of multiple people.
But I was told that Nick Shirley was a fraud and he didn't actually care about anything. And I was told that nothing was going to happen. I was told by panicans that nothing was going to happen. Damn, Trump vindicated once again. Things happen under Trump.
People in Southern California in connection to a massive healthcare fraud takedown targeting sham hospice facilities.
The big question, would any of this happened had Nick Shirley not made a YouTube video about it?
I actually totally agree with this. If not for the public backlash and the public investigation, would this have happened? In my opinion, no. I don't think it would have happened. I don't. It's too much of a coincidence that now all of a sudden hospice fraud is being targeted around the country. Now?
About it.
Oh, we're just
Count Chocula. Go to the Garden of Angels in this building.
It's right here.
Check in my grandma. Go look for it, bro. You see
That's what we're
Garden of
doing.
Angels.
That's what we're doing.
Getting millions of dollars. I
Yeah.
can't find the place.
I think not. It drew attention. Now we have investigations being called.
This is literally where we're at right now, by the way. This is where we're at in society. All right? I feel like there's so much broken shit in this country that unless someone actually starts yelling and screaming about it, no one's going to even know how broken it is. Remember when the left was so mad when Elon Musk was working for the federal government with Doge? Like, do you remember when Elon Musk was trying to crack down on fraud, waste, and abuse, and, you know, they were doing, like, these anti-Elon protests every day, burning Teslas, firebombing Teslas? Like, you remember that shit? It's like, now we know why. Right, now that the fraud is actually starting to get investigated and people are going to jail, we totally understand why they were so terrified of this. You know, Tim Waltz goes out there, makes like all these statements. Oh, I personally think that Elon Musk is fucking bad and I can't wait until Trump dies. And we should bully Elon and firebomb Teslas, mostly peacefully firebombing of Teslas. You know, Tim Waltz does all that and then he's involved in one of the biggest frauds in the country with the Somali scam, right? So it's pretty insane if you think about it.
Operation Never Say Die. Sounds like a Bond movie, whatever.
Operation Never Say Die. Those arrested, which include 3 nurses, a psychologist, and a chiropractor, are accused of operating a massive hospice fraud ring in the Los Angeles area, some of whom were billing Medicare for end-of-life services for patients who weren't terminally ill.
So the federal government has had to intervene because the government of California has allowed this to go on.
It's so crazy. And they get federal taxes, and yet the federal government isn't allowed to actually arrest these people. Like, unbelievable, dude.
That is what the evidence seems to indicate.
And 230 billion is the lowest estimate. Some models estimate far higher annual fraud amounts.
We need to get serious, and we don't see that happening in California. The ecosystem is rotten. We've uncovered lots of other derivatives that happen when you don't take care of this fraud in the way it needs to be done.
We actually have licensed doctors who are allowing this to happen. How does this actually work?
So you want to know how these schemes work? I'll tell you how she did it. She approached them
right.
at a market, or that they were approached at a grocery store about signing up for her hospice care.
They approach someone in a grocery store and get them to agree to give them their identity in exchange for cash payments of a couple $100 every month of passive income.
These defendants recruited beneficiaries who were not terminally ill and paid them to pose as patients receiving hospice care.
Bro, why aren't they in jail? Like, he just said that we're arresting the doctors and shit like that. These people need to go to jail, too. Like, we literally have these people making $500 a month or whatever to give their ID to the scammers. They're also scammers. Like, what are we doing?
Two of the people arrested, Gladwin and Amy Lou Gill. The couple accused of creating a hospice in their daughter's name, allegedly swindling over $7 million from taxpayers.
Damn, bro.
All total fraudulent.
Always foreigners, man. Like, I'm sorry, man. I don't want to get racist here or anything, but it's like we import people into our country, then they just fucking rape us.
Hospice services. They were signing up people who are not terminally ill. They were forging the documents, the medical records.
We arrested 8 defendants, including medical providers such as nurses and doctors.
Good.
Medicare reimbursed these companies
They all
for
gotta
services
go.
that were intended to go to patients dying from a terminal illness.
But somehow miraculously, the survival rate for these hospice clinics are over 50%,
No
80%.
way! Like, that's the funniest part, is like we import these foreigners, and a lot of the time, like, these guys are fucking dumb. But they still fool everyone with the fraud. It's like, that's what the Somali scam, like, makes me think about all the time. Here we have these Somali communities, all right? We're importing people with literally an average IQ of 67, okay? And these guys come into our fucking country, and they blindside us. They rape our land. They pillage our villages, all right? And then they, make millions of dollars. They all have the Bentleys and Teslas and Mercedes, all right? And they're sending money abroad to Somalia. How the fuck did you fall for this? Like, these guys are some of the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. These people are dumb as rocks. All right, how are you falling for this? Some apes have higher IQs than Somalis. Damn, that sounds pretty racist as fuck. But it's literally true. It's, like, objectively true. So, like, how are you falling for this, man? Like, how are you falling for this? I'm talking to the government of Minnesota. Unless they're not falling for it. They're getting kickbacks and they're letting the fraud happen under their nose. Like, and they're doing it in order to get votes. Like, that's ultimately what this comes down to. It comes down to the fundamental question, are they in on it? And I think they are. Otherwise, how the fuck do you fall for this shit? Like, you're seriously expecting me to believe that you were defrauded by this person?
So I'm Somali. I'm proud to be Somali. To me, being Somali isn't just eating bananas with rice. It's a lot. It's like it's an interesting thing. It's very hard to describe what it means to be Somali and what it means to be American. But it's like a cultural fusion. It's kind of like the bananas and rice. You know, people don't really see, like, it's people don't think, oh, you can eat bananas with rice, but that's what it's like to be Somali and American. It's like that combination of banana and rice, but you're gonna get what I mean.
No one got what you meant. This clip still lives rent-free in my head, I'm not gonna lie. Like, we gotta deport all of these guys. Trump, they did not assimilate, remove their citizenship, and get them out of here. Netanyahu, if you're listening, Netanyahu, if you're watching this video, the Somali community is only 2 weeks away from developing a nuclear bomb. I take it on good authority. I have a source. I have anonymous source. Bro, bananas and rice. What button do I push? The choices are too hard. All right, so, like, what the point that I'm trying to make is, like, these guys, seriously, these are the guys that are defrauding you.
70, like something astronomically high, that alone should be a big red flag.
This company had a death discharge rate of 85%. When you go to hospice, you're usually you're going there to die. You're not supposed to have an 85 survival rate coming out of your hospice facility. That is 5 times more than the national average of 17%.
You get someone's identity, you use it to make them look like a hospice patient. They miraculously survive, so that then they can just, because you can't fake their death, so they have to survive. And then I guess you return the identity and they...
And then, no, you bill them for eternity, bro. That means you're still billing them.
Continue to live on, and no one bats an eye. And then this raises questions about Medicare, Medicaid, because that does create this structure for abuse.
California's, in my opinion, the fundamental issue here is that we have all these like government programs, man. I'm like so fucking anti-socialist here. I'm antisocial and I'm anti-socialist. I'm so tired of this shit. I'm paying for taxes for them to run these obviously easily defraudable programs that to basically rape our country because foreigners feel the need to come in and not get jobs. Like I'm just really tired of it, man. I'm really tired of it. Taxation is theft, man.
Fraud rate is about 25% or $50 billion of the state's total Medicaid budget, which, according to the National Association of State Budget Officers, is right around $200 billion. The estimate, more than 29 states spend in a year.
Every criminal group saw that Gavin Newsom was opening the floodgates of state spending. They could take whatever they wanted, and he's losing now an estimated up to $50 billion a year to fraud.
I understand the arguments for it. If you're going to have a system like that, that's all the more reason we can't allow things like this to happen. If you're an advocate for Medicare, you should care about what Nick Shirley is doing.
And that's the craziest part. It's like you'll have leftists that on the one hand want to tax you to oblivion, and on the other hand, they're pro-fraud. Like how do you possibly reconcile these positions? You don't. The leftist stance is in my opinion, inherently irrational. It is an inherently irrational position.
And those like him, even more so. That fits into the sponsor of today's...
Yeah.
Did their
yeah. And the reality
navigate those stories.
The reality is, I do think they're inherently irrational, though. I really do.
Task force.
Vice President J.D. Vance, writing on X, his fraud task force is taking action, arresting fraudsters who stole over $50 million from Americans.
And then this actually ties into potential election fraud on Skid Row.
The Justice Department is conducting witness testimonies with his team who recorded alleged election fraud along LA's Skid Row.
It appears based
Welcome to the Democratic Party. It's fraud. It's just all fraud.
upon this development, we may finally see some arrests and accountability in this clear-cut case.
So if you can approach people in grocery stores to get their identity for a hospice fraud, can you do the same thing to get their identity to cast a vote? Well, if we don't require ID.
Former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani tells the National News Desk he believes Thursday's arrests could be a sign of what's to come.
You have individuals high up in the Department of Justice, including our U.S. Attorney, or First Assistant U.S. Attorney now, Bill Asaley here in L.A., saying that this is going to be a big priority for the DOJ. I expect to see more charges and indictments soon.
Rahmani adding, whenever the law and politics intersect in a certain way, you can expect action.
You're going to get a lot of federal government resources in terms of agents and prosecutors investigating these types of cases.
And the people that don't like Nick Shirley cannot contend with this. I'm really curious to see if CNN will cover the story. What will they say?
Let's see if CNN even is.
Yes, so far CNN has
No,
not
radio
covered the story
silence
at all.
Obviously, it doesn't fit the narrative.
As Gavin Newsom commented on this, what's he gonna say?
Now, in response...
Well, his response is worse than you could possibly imagine.
To the enforcement, California Governor Gavin Newsom's office writing, glad the federal government is finally stepping up to do their part.
I'm glad the federal government is finally stepping up to do their part. Dude, it's your state. You're
really glad the federal government is finally stepping up to stop the fraud that I am letting happen on mass scale to get votes.
The government is the one that allowed this to happen. How are you doing your part since it's your state? It's just, the way he frames his games is incredible.
Are you surprised? Again, this is coming from the guy this is coming from this dumb fuck over here. Holy shit, I'm overloading with I do so much research for these videos, it's crazy. All right, so this is coming from this guy. California is again taking the lead charge against large-scale theft and fraud. Like, no, it's not. It's literally the opposite.
The state has been taking action for years, including suspending over 280 licenses and banning new ones since 2022.
Now they are rescinding licenses because they're realizing, wow, we created the infrastructure that has the capacity for this to occur.
Now, the Anti-Fraud Task Force also revealing a total of 221 hospice providers in Los Angeles have been suspended so far due to suspected fraud.
This is a California problem. I want to be very frank about this. The federal government is the purse. All the money comes from the federal government, but it's administered through the states. California is responsible for issuing hospice licenses. They're responsible for regulating doctors and nurses.
Correct.
And the problem that you
And
see
they weren't.
in California is that there is no vetting and there's no checking.
That's right.
They do not care because it's not their money. Is the way.
Completely true, and that's why socialism could never work. Socialism inherently could never work because nothing is your money. So if nothing is your money, then you will never give a flying fuck about what happens to it.
The state of California looks at it.
Objectively correct. And that's what we need to deal with. And that is why we are dealing with this absolute cesspool. This delectable quagmire of retards sinking slowly but surely into the abyss. And in my stance, once again, I've already told you, my criticism of the Trump administration is that he's not the fucking radical dictator authoritarian that the leftists think he is. And in my opinion, humbly and simply put, if a government official like Gavin Newsom, for example, allegedly, if he allowed the fraud to happen through his negligence, he should be punished for his negligence. He was put in a position where he had a responsibility to manage this money, and he was not responsible. I'm not going to say that you should put him into a work camp for theft in that regard, but I think he should absolutely be charged as an accessory to this crime. And I think we need to start looking at all of society like this. Some woke judge decides to make an unbelievably terrible call in regards to the law that does not follow any form of legal framework and release a criminal that did crime for infinite times, and then that criminal goes out there and commits another crime. I think that the judge needs to be held as an accessory to the crime. The same way I think the politicians that create and enable the frameworks for fraud to happen, I think they need to be held as accessory to the fraudsters. Until it actually affects their bottom line, these motherfuckers will keep doing it, and they're just untouchable. And to all the idiots say, oh, so you want Trump to go after his political opponents? Yes! Fuck yes! Absolutely I do! If they're committing fraud, they need to go to jail. This is Irina Zarutska. She was murdered by this animal standing behind her. This animal is a guy named Carlos Brown Jr. He was imprisoned, I think, 14 times before this murder took place. He was released every single time by a woke judge, put back on the street, commits this act of murder, and currently he is being investigated for murder. He is the alleged murderer, even though we literally all saw it happen on camera. They're letting him out of jail again. So, if you weren't radicalized before, this should radicalize the heck out of you, because we are literally living in a two-tier justice system where the most unstable, infinite retard people, all right, are forever forgiven for their crimes, while you are not. All right, if you don't pay taxes, you're going to jail forever. All right, if this dude kills a white girl in a subway, he might just be released from prison. So just to understand the Democrats' position on this before we get too deep into it, this is Donald Trump mentioning that Irina Zarutska's parents were at the State of the Union, and the Democrats refused to stand up for her. Is everyone clapping? Everyone clapping. Except for the Democrats. They refused to stand. They remain seated.
How do you not stand?
How do you not stand? This woman's child was murdered on a subway. How do you not fucking stand? Like, it's completely and utterly unacceptable. Like, if you don't want to stand for Donald Trump's policies or stuff like that, whatever. But how do you not stand for Irina Zarutska's parents? Now, a lot of people say that this shouldn't be a political story because this really was just a killing of, we had a black guy murder a white girl because she was white, screaming, I got that white girl, I got that white girl, murdering her on the subway, and then, he gets arrested and he's given a really light sentence, if any at all. You'll see, epic spoilers. But the reality is, this is an incredibly political situation. I think only a complete apolitical retard would not realize how political this situation actually is. The political framework that we have exists to let criminals commit more crimes. We live in a fake reality where we're taught that all white people are racist against black people, and black people are not racist against white people. Here we have something that is complete opposite of that. And not only that, but we have the entire establishment basically coming to the Democrat establishment coming together to say that actually we support this. This is kind of fine, actually, that a black guy murdered a white girl. Right? We have the entire leftist party screaming and crying, yelling about immigrants this, immigrants that. I can't believe the immigrants are being mistreated when they're being deported. Now, for the record, I want to make this very clear. I actually don't care that they're getting mistreated and they're getting deported. They came into this country illegally. They have to go. They could have left themselves. They refuse to leave themselves. They're getting deported. If they're mistreated on the way, that's a skill issue. I actually don't fucking care at all. I know I want to make this clear because I see a lot of people like try to read between the lines to say, I don't even think Nux actually cares about the mistreatment. No, I don't. No, I don't actually care about the mistreatment of the people on the way out. I obviously don't want them killed. I don't want them to be mistreated. But if they do get mistreated on the way, well, shit happens. Guess you shouldn't have come into the country illegally and tried and not left yourself. I guess you should have self-deported. My stances are very radical. If you don't like them, you should probably leave. But we have a country. Our country has laws. I think that this guy that murdered Irina Zarutska, he should be given the death penalty. They should execute him immediately. And I think if you invade the country illegally, you have to leave. However that works. If you leave yourself, great. If you refuse, then, well, I mean, we can do whatever we want at that point, right? You're basically giving us free reign. So the Democrats, who are pro-refugee, didn't stand for Irina Zarutska, a refugee. She was a Ukrainian refugee who came to America to escape a war in Ukraine and was killed by a ruthless animal on a train on a bus or whatever. And the reality is it's because they never cared about refugees. It's because they don't care about white people. It's because they don't care about the victims. It's because they don't care about any of these things that they claim they care about. They care about the narrative and they care about control. That's exactly what exists. And that's it. There really is no other perspective to be had. If they cared about refugees, they would stand. If they cared about racial violence, they would stand. If they cared about racism, they would stand. This is all of those things, but they didn't stand because the reality is they don't care about the things that they make believe they care about. They only care about power. And that's the really, really black pill that I think everyone needs to acknowledge and just welcome. Democrats are just the party of violence because that's what brings them to power. Now, there was murals going up for Irina Zarutska, a victim of an unbelievable, like horrible tragedy that was completely avoidable if this guy would have just remained in jail instead of been released from prison 14 times. There was a giant mural that they were putting up for her, completely privately funded, and the mayor said, no, we need to take this down.
Well, Emily, Jean, it's still here, but not for long. Artist Ian Goodrow tells me he's sad it's come to this point, but after calls from Mayor Smiley and other local leaders to remove the mural, it felt like only a matter of time before this happened.
Why? Why on earth would Democrat leaders want to remove the mural from an inherently non-political issue? That's what I have to ask you, my cucked-out friend, because you might not care about politics, but politics cares about you. Politics is releasing these fucking vicious animals into the streets to kill you. Yeah, and if you die, they will not stand for you or your family. They don't care, actually.
The artwork is going to be removed.
Artist Ian Goodrow breaking the news to NBC 10 Monday afternoon. The Irina Zarutska mural is coming down.
A lot of people voiced their frustrations, and voices were heard, and the work is coming down as a reaction to that.
Well, Emily...
Isn't that insane? Why? But the question is why? If this isn't a political issue, and this is just an innocent girl getting murdered senselessly, and people were very emotionally touched by it and wanted to commemorate her, why would the government have such an issue with it? Why would the Democrats have such an issue? Why would it be considered controversial literally in any way? Well, this is Congressman Representative David Morales.
Ultimately, we want to make sure that every community member that calls Providence home feels safe, and we can both agree that this mural behind us does not reflect Providence's values.
Providence's values aren't reflected by honoring a victim of senseless murder? Or what is the senseless murder the value? So honoring the victim is not the value? Is that how it works?
Nor does it reflect the creativity that we want to see in our city. Ultimately,
what does creativity even mean? What does that have to do with anything? All right, so it does not reflect the values of the city. How on earth is it offensive to honor the victim of a completely unwarranted crime? A crime that happened for absolutely no reason other than the fact that a vicious fucking animal murdered an innocent girl because they're a racist piece of shit. And they said, I got that white girl, and then stabbed her in the neck and she died. Like, let's be honest for a second. Let's be real. How on earth could this possibly be offensive or not reflect your values? What are your values? Are you just pro-releasing criminals again and again to keep murdering us? Is that the value system here? Well, let's see what the rest of them say. This is the mayor.
It's about how we have that conversation, and from everything I've seen with this campaign, it's not a really productive way for us to talk about these important issues.
What does that even mean?
That we talked to today say that this is private property, so it's up to the owner of the building.
I prefer if it's not like people just doing it to make a statement.
But it's about.
Right, so this is what we're dealing with everywhere, all right? And this is another mural of Irina Zarutska. It's not productive. It's just not productive to commemorate the war, you know, the killing of an innocent woman. It's unproductive. I don't like it. It's not productive enough. The reality is these people don't want people to be having the conversation for a very simple reason. It's because it's their fault. It's because these people killed Irina Zarutska. Every single one of these people that push the policies of the soft on crime ideology, of no law and order, of not actually taking care of making sure that actual laws get followed and actual punishments happen appropriately. It's these people that are relying on the votes of the criminals and the retards that are making absolute certain that they cannot have this conversation exist. That's why they hate it, because it destroys their entire narrative. Their entire narrative is that black people are purely and utterly oppressed by white people, and never at all whatsoever the other way around. That's not true, actually. That's not true. All right. Their other narrative is that actually we need to have empathy for these people that are criminals. We need to keep letting them out, and we need to keep making sure that this can happen again and again and again. Prison is just rehabilitation. No, prison is punishment, because we need to get these fuckers off the street. All right. Rehabilitation is nice. It might not fucking happen though, which is why if someone kills somebody, they need to fucking die. All right. God deemed them unrehabilitationable. All right, that is why God says in the Bible, kill them if they kill. All right, God knew better than you, Mayor Justin, you know, crotch licker. I'm tired of this shit, man. Like, absolutely tired of this. And so yes, it is not productive, actually, because it goes against every single one of their value systems. They claim they care about immigrants. Here's Irina Zarutska, an immigrant, getting murdered. They don't actually care. They don't care about any of the things that they make believe they do. This is the same New Haven mayor, you know, crotch licker, kneeling for George Floyd. On his knees to paint the BLM mural in 2020. No, we must paint BLM murals in 2020. This is so productive. Unlike Irina Zarutska, who I guess should have died, I guess is the stance, and it's not productive to be anti her death, I suppose. So the man who murdered Irina Zarutska, this is the breaking news from yesterday, on the light rail in Charlotte, NC, to Carlos Brown Jr., has been found, are you ready? Incapable to proceed on the state murder charge brought against him. Like, they're literally trying to fucking kill us. They're trying to actually kill us. Like, if I wouldn't laugh, I would cry right now. So let me get this straight. This guy is not too retarded to vote, but he's too retarded to be held accountable for murder. Cool. Very cool. Love that.
To Carlos Brown Jr., the felon charged with the murder of Irina Zarutska on a North Carolina light rail, has been found incapable to proceed with trial. The decision comes after a mental health evaluation. So DeCarlos Brown has a string of prior charges.
So then obviously he should not be allowed in public, right? If he's so mentally unstable that he can't be evaluated in court, then he should never be allowed in public. Like, I love how they think this is like a get out of jail card. Oh, he's just retarded. We have to let him out of jail now. No, if he's retarded, then he needs to be locked up forever. Like, that is not negotiable. Like, and it's crazy how they just see the world completely the other way.
More than a decade, including a felony, larceny, and robbery with a dangerous weapon.
Wow.
Brown's lawyers are now asking the court to push back a scheduled April 30th hearing for another 6 months. It's pretty unbelievable. How many times can this man continue to...
And the crazy part is, this is just the one we know about because, and the reason why we're talking about Irina Zarutska altogether right now, is because the video footage came out and it was just so gruesome. It's one of the most gruesome videos I've ever seen. Her getting stabbed in the neck, completely terrified, with not a single person on the light rail getting up to help her as she falls onto the floor and bleeds out over the next 20 seconds while a deranged madman screams, "I got that white girl, I got that white girl." It's one of the most heart-wrenching videos that will probably remain in my mind forever. Right? Irina Zarutska wasn't like Charlie Kirk, that she was famous and beloved by millions of people or anything like that. It was just another crime that happens, and unfortunately there are a lot of them that happen. But this one was caught on video, and this had it was so visceral and so evil, watching the life drain from her eyes that everyone got invested immediately. The reality is, though, if that wouldn't happen, this guy would be on the street again right now. The reason why this guy's, in jail altogether, probably, is because of the backlash. If not for the backlash, this guy would be out of prison again. They're already trying to let him out of prison for being too retarded to be in jail.
Commit crimes and be judged incapable of being accountable for his crimes. It's not
if you're too retarded to be accountable for crimes, you should be too retarded to be trusted to be in public life. You should absolutely not be allowed to vote.
just larceny. It's not just robbery. Now it's cold-blooded murder.
Well, that's the left, ladies and gentlemen. They like that. They like murder. Murder's fun for these guys, I guess. Now, you see a lot of, like, the anti-Donald Trump right-wing accounts being like, Donald Trump did nothing about this. Donald Trump did nothing about Charlie. Donald Trump is nothing. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. Anyway, Irina Zaruta's killer is literally being held in federal custody by the Trump administration on federal charges. In reality, he's the only one doing anything. And I really feel like a lot of people don't know what actually happens in this country. I think one of the major issues is the fact that we have so many boomers in the Republican Party that do fucking nothing and that aren't willing to actually push shit to actually go in the right direction. The reality is, this guy is in federal custody because Trump's the only one doing anything. Everyone's doing nothing. And it's honestly heartbreaking watching the world just seem to not care anymore. All right? So, crazed homeless man accused of slaughtering Irina Zarutska on train, found incompetent to stand trial. Nayib Bukele, all right, the guy in charge of El Salvador, says impeach the corrupt judges. And he's completely right about this. 200,000 likes. He's completely correct. One of the major issues is that we have a cartel, a literal cartel of woke judges releasing these fucking terrorists onto our streets again and again and again because they have so much fucking empathy. That's what we keep seeing. Stephen Miller says the purpose of a system is what it does, which is a fucking phenomenal quote. And the reality is, if you think about it, why is this system designed a way to possibly get this guy out of jail unless the goal is to have him do more of the things he's been doing before he went to jail? All right, and he's completely correct here. The purpose of the system is what it does. If the system exists to let criminals continue to do crimes against people that didn't deserve it, then maybe the purpose of the system is to literally have the criminals commit the crimes to people that don't deserve it. You start to actually wonder about it, you know? You start to really think. The whole idea of incompetent to stand trial is fucking nonsense, and he's completely correct. If you're too incompetent to understand that you shouldn't butcher an innocent woman on a train, you should die. Period. Arrest, convict, execute. You are not fit to be part of human society. How many more innocent people must we sacrifice on this for the sake of coddling and babying the absolute scum of the earth? Our ancestors had it right. They have had this guy hanging from a gallows an hour after conviction. The old system of justice was light years better than the insane bullshit we're dealing with now. And I think that he's actually completely correct about this. And again, for me, it comes slightly from a religious perspective, but the way I see it is, it says in the Old Testament, in the first 5 books of Moses, and every single one of the books, a man that takes a life shall have his life taken in response. You execute murderers, period. All right, God had it right. We would not have these issues right now if we would have actually just followed the tried and true method proven by our ancestors and our faith. Why did this person even need some long drawn-out trial? We had undeniable, undisputable evidence that this animal murdered an innocent person. We should have had this dude executed tomorrow. And because of this unbelievable coddling and babying of society, our entire civilization is cooked. It's not just on like a micro level, like a personal criminal that commits a crime and then we release him again because we don't want to be mean to the guy. Maybe he's mentally ill, so we should totally let him go murder more people. And we keep releasing them again and again and again. It's like, oh, the rapist is Somali? Well, his average IQ is below 70. We should just let him out now. He's obviously too retarded to be in jail. Like we cannot operate like this for obvious reasons. But this is on a global scale. You know, Donald Trump is trying to wipe out a terrorist regime in Iran. He made a mean tweet and he got condemned by Britain. Are you being fucking serious here for a second? What, England is going to condemn you for your mean fucking tweets? Like, they just do not let you win wars. It's like you're not allowed to fight with Iran while Iran does not have a nuke. You have to wait until they have a nuke to fight them because you need them to be an imminent threat in order to fight them. Now, that'll cause way more casualties, probably millions dead, all right, if we actually have some sort of nuclear war with Iran. But that's better because that means that they were an imminent threat instead of you actually obliterating an inevitable threat and a regime that's fucking evil. Oh, you made a really mean tweet saying you're going to end a civilization in order to get political leverage and make a peace deal, which is exactly what he did. The tweet was really mean. We should impeach Donald Trump. Oh, Trump is wiping out a terrorist regime that's literally killed thousands of Americans. Excuse me, civilian collateral damage happened, which means Trump is a war criminal and we have to arrest him. They just do not want you to fucking win wars. They just do not want you to fucking punish criminals. This unbelievable coddling and babying of society is our downfall, man. It's our downfall. And the truth is, they just hate us. They just hate us, man.
They can't fix the history they did. Their ancestors.
This is brand new, by the way.
Made this country into a slave hell. But they can clean it up now because they got the Smithsonian. They can get rid of all the slavery stuff. They got PragerU. They can lie about the history to the children. They can't originally invent anything more than they ever were able to invent good music.
That's right. White people can't invent anything. Except for, like, most things on the planet. Except for, like, most things, white people can't invent things.
We black folk gave y'all country music, hip-hop, R&B, jazz, rock and roll. They couldn't even invent that. But they...
Holy shit! Black people invented different groups of music, and white people invented all of society and civilization? That's crazy. It's even. It's actually pretty even. White people invented a lot more music than black people, though. For those of you keeping track at home, looking into classical music or anything like that. All right? Like, again, this is a stupid fucking competition.
They have to call a white man the king because they couldn't make rock and roll. So they have to stamp the king on a man whose main song was stolen from an overweight black woman. They can't.
Yeah, so here we have a foreigner, Muslim, and a radical, retarded black woman screaming and yelling about how actually white people don't invent anything, and white people are actually evil. Except the reality is she is saying this in America, made by white people, in English, created by white people, on her phone, made by white people, in a room with air conditioning and a house with foundation. Not like those mud huts in Africa, while promoting their Substack. This is all made by white men, specifically. The reality is, these people are fucking retarded. The reality is, white people did not... You know one thing white people didn't invent? Slavery. Slavery wasn't invented by white people, because every single slave, every single black slave in America was sold by a black person. It's almost like they just fucking hate us, man. They fucking hate us. And these people will do everything in their power to make our society as fucking shit as they possibly can. Releasing criminals, pushing bad ideologies in order to win elections, you know, invading our country with migrants. I mean, I saw this clip, and I think it's literally perfect. So this is Alinity. She's like some famous booby streamer on Twitch. She got really famous for having boobs. And this is basically her crying about how miserable she is because of feminism.
Things will work out if it's meant to be, but I'm done trying so fucking hard. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Well, yeah, especially, like, to be loved, right? Like, I shouldn't try so hard to be loved.
Yeah, you're 38 years old, and you sell your butthole on the internet. You know, I feel like if you would have gotten married at 24, all right, and I'm being generous here when I say that. If you're getting married at 24 instead, and you'd have a bunch of children, you wouldn't have this issue. You would not be having this midlife crisis.
Like, anyway, I don't want to talk about it. So, maybe just try a little drugs. No, that is not what we're talking about. That is not the conversation that we're having. It's okay, Kat. It's okay. I cried a lot yesterday.
Yeah, why?
I did. I really did. And I was like, why am I doing this to myself? Yeah.
That's right. You're a famous Twitch streamer. You have money. You're selling your butthole on the internet to retards. And you're miserable and alone and crying yourself to sleep. I mean, look, man, you're just crying yourself to sleep because you're alone. Not easy to find true love at the young age of 38. Like, the reality is simple. The reality is the left specifically is pushing every single policy on the planet to make the human people deeply unhappy and psyop you that it's empathy. It's empathy that we tell women to be whores and not get married ever. It's empathy that we release criminals from jail again and again and again to continue doing crimes and killing people. It's empathy to open the borders and let migrants in to rape your children. And it's empathy when we don't call out Islamophobia for promoting bad practices. I'm tired of the shit and I'm tired of the psyop. Fuck you, good night. Anyway, that was today's deep dive. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This was a big deep dive in all the things that happened, covering them in the way they need to be covered. Thank you so much once again. You guys are beautiful, beautiful people. Thank you all. My entire channel is not monetized right now. Really hoping we can get that fixed at some point. I've been making zero money lately, which is pretty awful. So if you could support me by, you know, pledging something on Patreon, link in the description, that'd be really nice. Of course, it's not required, and you will get nothing in return, but it'll be very nice of you. I guess some people don't like that I'm actually supporting the idea of killing terrorists in Iran or something. Many such cases. I'm just saying, Asmongold gets banned on Twitch at the same time that I get demonetized on YouTube. Probably a funny coincidence. Totally not some sort of agenda. But anyway, I'm really hoping we will get that fixed. I'm in contact with people at YouTube, but as it stands right now, it is fucking brutal. Bye.